from the other side of the room, sitting there minding their own business, not women posing, not women doing anything inappropriate or derogatory, not him doing anything inappropriate or derogatory with the other women, but because there is photos on his phone that got uploaded to the cloud, and he tried to delete them off of his regular phone, but they got uploaded to the cloud, and now they're in the cloud, and his cloud account is searchable from his girlfriend having accessibility to another tablet that has that account. She found stuff that she didn't want to see, and now she doesn't know how to feel and how to act and how to react. First and foremost, I, as a man, would tell all men, do not connect your cell phone to the cloud. No auto syncing, period. You have your contacts list that automatically goes to your Gmail account. That's all you need. Your photos should be manually uploaded to whatever Dropbox or whatever save file system that you want to use to preserve your photos, and then immediately delete it off of your phone. All right. So now, why do you say run, Claudia? Are you saying run because you're telling the man to run because of the toxic relationship that he's in with this woman, or are you saying that the woman should run because the dude has photos on his phone? Because how the phone, allegedly how the photos got onto the phone, is that the dude was using his phone, and then he was trying to hit the volume button or whatever, and then it was taking photos just sporadically in a public place, and it got people that were in the line of sight of the phone in the public place. Well, what if he was in a situation where him and his homeboys was having some locker room talk and they were just comparing ass cheeks? What if that was the case? What if he was taking photos of ass cheeks of the girls that's at his job? Like, oh yeah, she's got a nice ass. What if that was the case? Most women would say, oh, I should break up with him because he's looking at other girls' asses. My response to that is, well, should a man break up with you because you're being too friendly with the guy at Starbucks holding his hand while he's cashing you out for the coffee and just talking about books? You would say that's irresponsibly inappropriate, right? My dynamic is that overreacting is overreacting on both sides of the fence. Okay. Human beings are allowed to have appropriate physical contact with other human beings, and appropriate physical contact is non-intimate contact. Okay. Appropriate communication between human beings should be allowed between all sexes without having inappropriate communication. Inappropriate communication is sexual advances towards one another, even if it is in a flirtatious scenario. I was just joking. You made a derogatory comment insinuating a sexual advance. That would be considered as a form of cheating from both sides of the fence. So women shouldn't do it either. Now, in this situation, I'm going to tell men, no, you should not have nothing sync to the cloud automatically where it auto updates. You shouldn't. And then, yeah, purge your phones. Purge your phones every day before you get home. And the reason why you're doing this is because you're in a relationship with a female that is going to stalk your devices. Now, from the women's perspective, ladies, stop making excuses. She said, I'm saying to the girl, run, and your response is such a guy's response. Well, yes, my response is going to be a guy's response. Because look at it like this, Claudia. If you and your homegirls, if you were in a relationship with a dude, and you and your homegirls was talking about a guy that your one of your friends was talking to, and they're sending you pictures of these guys with their shirts off, and oh, he's so hot, you know, I want to hook up with him, blah, 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 is what these other women are telling you. You're looking at the photo, well, I guess he's okay. I mean, you know, I already got a man, so I don't really care. And then your boyfriend gets on your phone, sees all of these photos from your female friends, and he's like, oh, you're cheating on me, and I should break up with you. Do you think that's fair? Or do you think that he would be overreacting? Okay, because when we talk about, and this is, I'm setting it up as almost similarly the same dynamic, because if I was going to give it the exact same dynamic, it would be a woman at the job taking pictures of dudes that she works with, and then her boyfriend finds them on the phone, would it be a problem? Oh, well, I just took the photos. They could have been posing. I could go to the extreme and say they were posing. And she's got them on her phone now. Boyfriend finds them. He's supposed to ignore that. You're not sleeping with them. You don't have their contact information. You're not having inappropriate communication with them. You're not having inappropriate contact with them. It's not cheating, right? So since it's not cheating when a woman does it, it's not cheating when a man does it. So it should not be devalued as a man to have anything on his phone. Now, if these pictures were coming into his phone for any reason, exactly, Michael, I am exactly explaining just that: reverse discrimination, or, sexism. It's female misogyny, because a man is not allowed to be a human being. Because if a man behaves the way a woman behaves, a woman has zero tolerance towards that behavior because she says that behavior is wrong. However, if the woman does the exact same behavior that she says a man is not allowed to do, it is justifiable. And I say that that's incorrect. Uniformity dictates is that if he can't do it, she shouldn't do it either. But women will pass photos back and forward, because if you got 5 or 6 female friends and they're all talking about the new boyfriends that they just got, and they're showing photos of their boyfriends, and sometimes they got no shirt on, they got really tight shorts on and everything to that effect, and she's getting inbound contact information from her friends about the men that her friends are dating, and this is on her phone, and her boyfriend finds this on the phone, delete it. That's it. Delete it, and then ask your friends to stop sending photos about their boyfriends to you. And that is all that would happen from the boyfriend. But from the woman, she's having a nervous breakdown, throwing up all over the house. She's possibly going to have a miscarriage and abort the baby at 9 months because this dude's got 2 or 3 photos of some coworkers on the phone. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's doing the extreme. But he says girls overreact is normal. Yeah, girls overreacting is normal. You have to be confident in your partner making rational decisions. And I love the way Wolfman is talking about with this. And that's what I was about to get to with the women. Ladies, y'all have to have more confidence in yourself as a woman, because first and foremost, in order for a man to be compelled to cheat on you, he would have to have first lost value in you, which means that you would have not been performing to the expectations of the man that you have. Now, if you are operating at peak performance, you are not doing anything wrong, you're doing everything he expects you to do, you are the perfect girlfriend, right? The perfect wife, then why are you intimidated by other women? Why are you insecure about other women? There should be absolutely no reason why you should not be able to trust your man to be in a room full of hot, naked chicks, because if you're doing what you're supposed to do, he should not have a desire to go and mess with anybody else outside of you doing whatever it is that you're doing. Now, in relationships, when women dominate the relationship, give the man what she wants him to have, but then does not reciprocate what he expects her to reciprocate, she feels like she's done enough. Fuck how he feels. She knows that he might be going undone and could be in a position where she could care less about that. As soon as she realizes there's 3 or 4 other photos on his phone that indicate that there are female options that can replace her, now she's all of a sudden insecure. It's almost like you rob the bank every day and you don't care that you're robbing the bank and robbing the bank is a crime. But the day that your manager starts talking about firing employees or hiring new employees, that's when you start believing that you're going to lose your job, because you knew that you were not behaving correctly this entire time. Your insecurity, your guilt is kicking in, and now you're acting negatively. So to preserve your position, you're going to do 1 or 2 things. Like Claudia said, you're going to snatch and run and blame it on him. 2 or 3 photos of fully clothed women that wasn't on the camera, faces weren't on the camera or anything, and then you're gonna have that as an excuse that you're leaving, that he's inappropriately collecting these photos. Yeah, women are just like men, horny as hell. But the truth of the matter is that the other option is that you're gonna force your man to put himself in a social box, isolate himself for society, further oppressing your man to prevent him from interacting with other women, to potentially find a better suitor. The more that you restrict your man to prevent him from interacting with another woman, is the more abusive you are as a woman. Because if a man was to deny a female social interaction because of his pronounced insecurity, women would call that behavior abusive. If it is abusive when a man does it, it's abusive when a woman does it. If it's inappropriate when a man does it, it is inappropriate when a woman does it. I'm just standing on uniformity. Now, back to what I was saying about the ladies and these phones. No man should have a woman searching through anything for any reason. No woman should have a man searching through anything for any reason. So the only time I should be searching through your stuff is when you sent me to go look for something and I don't know where the fuck it's at. That's the only time. And the only time you should be searching for something is when I sent you to go look for something and you don't know where the fuck it's at. However, what she did was she got on her tablet. How you doing, Mixed? She got on her tablet. And after she got on her tablet, she observed that she had access to his photo gallery from his cell phone. And she decided to see what was in there. And once she decided to see what was in there, she found something that she didn't want to see. Now, it is my personal opinion that because you acquired this information from unethical means, that you should not utilize that as an excuse to change the dynamic of your relationship. But see, that's the thing. He didn't cheat. According to what the woman says, Claudia says maybe that's why he cheated, because I was too cool of a girlfriend, don't care about his phone or who he's talking to. Well, no, this is the thing. The dude didn't even cheat. What happened was the dude had photos on his phone. He was frantically deleting all the photos off of his phone, but they automatically uploaded to the cloud. Now, his girlfriend's at the house. She's going through his photos in the cloud. And now, even though he deleted all of the photos off of his phone, she is interrogating him about photos that he has eliminated. Before it was supposed to be a problem, she made it a problem because she went through his photo gallery, not her photo gallery, because she wanted a photo from herself, from her personal gallery, which should not impact his personal gallery, which is the reason why I have a problem with this, because she could have gotten her photo without ending up in his gallery. No device that has multiple emails with multiple photo galleries connected together, where they're all in the same tablet. You have to download them out of the cloud. If you want something, that's what I'm saying. She's so dramatic. So after he got rid of everything, it happened that day, he got rid of it, and it's not on his phone anymore. But he's still going to be condemned about it once she found it in the cloud. He didn't know it was in the cloud. If he would have knew it was in the cloud, he would have deleted it out the cloud too. Then he wouldn't have had an argument. But that's why I tell men, don't sync your phone to the it's a lot of estrogen. Don't sync your phone to the cloud. Anything of importance, manually update it somewhere, save it on a file, update it somewhere, put it in an email or whatever, but don't save it to the cloud. The cloud is supposed to be there for emergency documentation, and you should be able to manually upload it at that point. And then everything else, if you lose your phone, it's lost. But don't save anything to the cloud, because these females will go and find it. Now, again, like I was going to say, females, don't go looking for shit, because that's always the excuse. I was looking for a photo, or I decided to take a photo, or I was trying to send a photo from myself from his phone, and that's when I stumbled across. No, what happened was your ass was snooping in somebody else's photo gallery. The same way that you would, if back in the day before technology was a thing, the way this would have operated was he would have had a diary of personal information, and she went into that diary looking for a blank piece of paper and read all of this information. That's how it would have been back in the day. He would have had a photo album from back in the day where she's going through photo albums without his consent and find some shit from way back in the day, and now she want to throw it in his face. That's the kind of stuff that we got going on. But with technological advancements we have in today's time, we have individuals that will use this as an excuse to break up a relationship. And I think that that's an inappropriate excuse to break up a relationship. You found some shit. Yeah, you might pay closer attention to your relationship now, but you're not supposed to change the way you treat him. You're not supposed to talk to him any different. And then you're not even supposed to address it with him. Because if you would not have been looking through his gallery, you would not have found those photos. Now, women are going to say, oh, well, he would cheat on me if I don't watch him like a hawk. Well, no, if you treat him right, like 2 days ago, because I wish y'all ladies was on the show 2 days ago. If you are valuing and respecting and appreciating your man is going to go above and beyond the value and respect and appreciate you. You're less likely to be cheated on if you're fulfilling all of your man's desires and needs and some of his wants. But when y'all come with them attitudes, and then a lot of women say, well, I'm not going to submit, I'm not going to obey, blah, 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 blah. And then y'all put yourselves in a conflicting situation where you're disrespecting and devaluing your man, and then you're dominating your man, and then your man doesn't appreciate that. Then he ends up finding a woman that will treat him the way he wants to be treated. That's what leads to affairs. And when women find that another man is going to provide them with that, that's when women start breaking down and, oh, it's his fault. No, ma'am, it ain't his fault. It ain't his fault. It's your fault because you didn't treat him the way you should have been treating him. Michael says, could you explain to me the biological component that causes women to behave in highly emotional ways? The lack of psychological security, psychological and emotional security, and the lack of responsibility and the lack of accountability, because women believe that they do not have to be held responsible for their decisions. And the consequences, negative consequences that occurs from their decisions should be shielded from them by men, but all positive benefits should come to the women. That's the reason why we have the unethical and lack of logic and reason behind emotional behavior. Because if women are going to take, he said, keep the cannon clean and get back into the kitchen, keep the canoe clean and get back in the kitchen. Look, the fact is that if she's doing her part as a responsible partner, then she has nothing to worry about with a man interacting with another person. And if he is doing his part as a responsible partner, he does not have to worry about what his woman is doing outside of a relationship. But if you don't have that security, because a relationship is supposed to have a foundational level of trust, if you don't have that foundational level of trust, and you're not trying to build that foundational level of trust by trial and error, where you're going to see these photos, not say nothing about it, see what he does with it, and if it ends up being nothing, you do nothing. If the photos of these females end up being females that start coming around the house, then you start asking questions. If these photos of these females end up being communication logs, then you start asking questions. But you're going to start asking questions when these 3-4 photos turn into something. And it turns into something when it turns into regular engagements, when it turns into a regular reoccurring quantity of photos coming in of the same person, when it comes into him taking time away from you so that he can go and meet these same people in photos. When you really have a definitive case of infidelity, it's a lot like having a definitive case of repossession. They're not coming to get the car because you missed 1 or 2 payments. They're coming to get the car because you haven't made payments in 5 months. They can show that you haven't been doing right for 5 months. They've got evidence. And it's not just 1 or 2 photos. It is like 5 months worth of deceptive behavior. And now they're coming to seize the car. When you're ready to break up with the boyfriend, this is going to be why you're breaking up with the boyfriend. You should have more than just 3 or 4. And it's not the same person that's in the photo. It is multiple people, different individuals in different photos. And that leads you to have a problem. I think that that's not what she should be focusing on. Now, let's go ahead and get into the next one, because we do got quite a few of them tonight.
I'd been debating leaving my partner of 2 years for some time now after observing some abusive behavior, and the other night they crossed a line that finally made me decide to leave. It was a regular night. I was in bed already, and they were coming home from work, and I had forgotten to crate our dog for the night. My partner woke me up to complain about it, and it is well known that I'm never going to be pleasant or receptive to being woken up, and we immediately got into it, and I told them to leave me alone. They refused to let the situation go, and it escalated to the point of yelling at me, throwing stuff at my direction, and then kicking down a door that I had shut between us. After the door incident, I ran to get dressed, got in my car, and sped off to my friend's house. My partner has been begging me to forgive them, sending me these intense declarations of love, ignoring my pleas for space and calling and texting me every day. Finally, I came and moved out all of my belongings while they were at work, and they do not seem to understand what could have brought me to that point, which makes it so much clearer why I had to leave.
All right, look, I do not condone abuse, but I'm about to go in on the situation where these females is not gonna like what I gotta say. So check this out. He said, my partner, we can't say girlfriend anymore. Look, we can't call females females anymore. We've got to call them women. And I'm sitting over here looking like women are females, females are women, men are males, and no man has a problem with a woman saying that male. We're good. Male, guy, dude, bro. Long as we're not calling y'all bitches and hoes, y'all should be glad. Female, woman, lady, ma'am, miss. They don't even like being respected when we call them miss and ma'am. Ooh, that makes me feel old. It doesn't make you feel fucking respected. It makes you feel old. Damn. So there's never a moment in society where a woman feels valued, appreciated, and respected unless a man is bowing down to her, worshiping the ground that she walks on, and spending all this money on her. Because every other scenario, it's a problem. Now, take this situation here. This lady has for a long period of time not wanted to be in her relationship anymore. She's in a relationship for 2 years. You guys have a routine. The dog is supposed to be put up. She's making an excuse. Any tips on how not to be misogynist? Bro, that what? Look, I ain't even mad at you. I ain't even mad at you. He says, is there any tips? Every man is struggling with misogynistic behavior. And you know why? The reason why every man is struggling with misogynistic behavior is because a man cannot talk about what his problems are without being devalued as misogynistic. True misogyny, special shout out to Nicole, Detroit, Michigan in the house. True misogyny is putting a woman in a devalued place of extreme servitude with no rights and no privileges, where the guy can abuse and devalue her all day long, and then she's still supposed to worship the ground that he walks on and bow at his feet, right? Now, women want to take a man disagreeing with her negative behavior, call it misogyny. Women want to take a man telling a woman to hold herself at a higher level of respect, and she'll call that misogyny. A man will say, just like what I was talking about earlier today, that if it's not cheating when she does it, it's not cheating when he does it. She's going to say, not Claudia, but the lady earlier, you know, women would call that type of behavior misogyny. But the fact is, but that's exactly my point. We just want women to stop behaving badly. And that's one of the reasons why we ask them to, or tell them, don't do. And there's a lot of women that don't want a man to tell them what to do, and they will define a man instructing them as misogynistic. Receiving instructions from a man is not misogynistic, but not following those instructions is disobedience. And women are supposed to respect the men that they choose and follow the instructions of the man that they chose, not because it's misogynistic, but because she chose him to lead her. Women want leaders. Women don't want followers. Women are not attracted to followers. So if you want a leader, leaders lead. And what do you do with a leader? Follow the leader. So if the leader says go left, you go left. Leader says go right, you go right. Leader says stop, you stop. When leader says shut up, you shut up. When the leader says sit down, you sit down. Right? This is just like Simon Says. Nobody's got a problem with playing Simon Says, but everybody's got a problem with respecting a man. You put him in that position to lead you. But there is zero accountability for women. And there are a lot of terrible men in the world, but there are a lot of terrible women in the world, and the terrible women in the world justify their behavior by devaluing the men that call them out on it. No man is going to have a masculine man movement to justify negative behavior. If a man behaves inappropriately, we're like, yeah, that was an asshole move. Like I was just about to get into about the dude kicking down a door. If she ain't talking to you, as long as she's not threatening to hurt the dog, you shouldn't have to kick the door down. So you're probably doing too much there. But at the same time, this chick, after 2 years of being in a relationship, deliberately left the dog out, which is apparently a problem. Their dog has to be crated. My dog can jump on the back of this chair during the podcast and I ain't got no issues. So since the dog is supposed to be crated before bed, and this is a common practice over the last 2 years, why the hell is the dog not in the crate? She's going to say, ooh, I forgot. Well, the responsibility of actions is to accept being verbally disciplined by your partner by being fussed at for leaving a dog out. Reverse scenario. If the man was home from work, he would have been in bed asleep. He forgot to crate the dog. She would have cursed him out. She would have threw water on him and everything like that. You should have put the dog up. Let's put it like that. Now, he said, I've learned when you say go left, someone will go right. That's the truth, Michael. A lot of times when you say go left, you have the defiant people going in the exact opposite direction. 87% of defiant people are going to be women. That's exactly my point. Why crate the dog? Probably because the dog is in the phase where it's chewing on stuff and using the bathroom in places that they don't want the dog to use the bathroom in, and they're crating the dog because they're not putting in the effort to train the dog so that the dog can function without a crate. But if the dog is supposed to be in a crate for any reason, and she knows this and she's supposed to put the dog in a crate, her not crating the dog caused a problem. But the other issue that caused a problem in this particular scenario was she admitted that she's an asshole when you wake her up. Now, he woke her up. She didn't want to hear it. She yelling, fussing, cussing, and disrespecting him because he woke her up, instead of her accepting the responsibility of not creating a dog. So it went from, he asked me, do you believe women should be allowed to vote? I go back and forth on that. The majority of Americans don't know what they're doing when it comes down to voting because it's a popularity contest. You only vote for the people that you know of, you know their name, and that's why you're going to vote for them. You're not even voting for them because they're attractive, because they're all a bunch of 60 and 70-year-old men when they get into office. They're never a woman. And it's not because a woman couldn't do it. Oh, I mean, the budget that Kamala Harris destroyed probably would have sent the spiraling further in debt. But the fact is that most people don't know anything about the policies behind the politician. So I'm going to tell you that everybody under the age of 30 shouldn't vote because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're allowing you at 18 and 21 to vote, but you really shouldn't be able to vote until you learn about political policies and how they impact you. So like the women that don't even know what a Bitcoin is, but they're voting on Bitcoin policies, I strongly believe that they should not be denied the right to vote, but they should put more effort into being more knowledgeable about the right to vote. But I also believe that since men must be enlisted in military, drafted for military services to maintain their right to vote, that women, due to equality, should have that same mandate where they be enlisted into the military and drafted into the military. You said she's fucked up. The chick, yeah, this chick is fucked up because she fucked up by leaving that dog out. And then she's cursing the dude out and fussing and arguing with the dude because she didn't want to be told what to do. And I believe that was a wrong behavior to perform. She should have apologized for leaving the dog out, accept her behavior for leaving the dog out, and put the dog up and then take her ass to bed. At no point during this devaluation of communication did she put the dog up. He didn't put the dog up. So she's arguing with him. They downstairs in the kitchen fussing and arguing and stuff about why she ain't got to put the dog up because she was in bed asleep, and how dare he come and wake her up because she was in bed asleep. But that ain't got nothing to do with the fact that bitch ain't put the dog up. Now she done jumped in a car and drove to a friend's house, and oh, it's me. It was the man's fault. Voting age should be between 25 and 60. Voting age should be between 60 and between 30 and 60. 30 and 60, 65 at the latest. All of this over a dog. You're right. Put her in a crate. So when I seen this post and like all of the people that are following her are like, oh, he's so abusive, da, 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 you go girl, you, oh, sorry that you went through this. And I'm sitting over here like, you caused half of the trauma that you went through because you already didn't want to be in this relationship. And you used this creating a dog situation as the final nail in the coffin. I said this on the show plenty of times before. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, there are a lot of people that end up in a relationship. They don't want to be in a relationship and they find an excuse to get out of the relationship. Typically, they instigate a conflict with their partner in a passive aggressive way so that they can tell the story in a way to play the victim. Fact of the matter is, dude didn't punch her in the face. Dude didn't drag her down the stairs. Nothing to that effect. He didn't Chris Brown her, okay? But had he slapped her at one point in time, they've been together for 2 years. If you ain't leaving the first 3 months when he hit you the first time, you are allowing yourself to be in an abusive relationship for 2 years before you finally decide to leave. Once you were emotionally withdrawn from this relationship, you should have been physically out of the relationship for 3 months prior. So the fact that you're still in the relationship for 2 years and emotionally withdrawn out of the relationship, that's the part that I'm just like, that makes no damn sense. Yeah, girl, because Chris Brown had 20 women last time I covered him on this show. And he beat each one of them. He didn't beat on one and learn from his mistakes. He hit every single girlfriend he had. And all of them left, no matter how much money he made, after they got tired of the amount of injuries that they sustained from his physical altercations with them. Now, the issue that I have with that is I don't have the issue with female number 20 getting her ass whooped by Chris Brown. I have an issue with 19 other women giving him another try after he beat up the first woman. That's what I got an issue with. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he should be allowed to hit on women because he's rich. But I am gonna say that, ma'am, if you knew that the last 19 people signed up for slavery, why the fuck are you signing up for slavery? If you know that you're about to get your ass whooped, if the cost of getting his money is to get your ass whooped, broken jaws, dislocated rotator cuff, flight down the stairs, head first kind of shit, if you know that that is the cost of getting this man's money, why the fuck are you signing up for that? Did you sign a stunt devil contract? Did you sign hazard pay in your relationship with him? Because you knew that the other women got their ass whooped. So this is what we talk about pre-traumatized. You're traumatizing yourself. Like I said, just need a new pillowcase and call 811. You don't need to do all of that. You could just get your shit and leave. If you innocent, okay, take for example, most of us are not out there in the city, in the state where the ICE is killing folk, right? None of us is going to get in a car and go over there and go pick a fight with the guys in camouflage, right? Because we don't want to get our asses whooped, right? Now, that's logic. If you're in an abusive relationship, you should be grown enough and mature enough to know right now that the first time he raised his hand to hit you, that is when you pack your bags and get the fuck out of the house. You don't stay there for 2 more years. I say that you don't play fight in your relationship. People say that's healthy. I disagree because play fighting leads to real fighting. When you get used to slapping each other in the arm, even if it's play, when you get used to slapping each other in places, and then all of a sudden that turns into a punch in the eye. You don't want to start allowing negative contact with one another, even in non-volatile scenarios, because it will build volatility. All you got to do is just hit your partner too hard one time, and that's a wrap. They're going to hold resentment. You know, and the one time that they get that ability to get you your receipt, you're going to get your receipt. It's going to be just like WWF. They'll take that lick, but they'll deal that lick back at your ass. And you're going to be sitting there with, oh, I can't believe he did it to me. But in most relationships, women throw stuff at men, women hit men, kick men, punch men, slap men, and men are supposed to take that. A man cannot return to her the same type of physical contact that she does to him. Because if she throw a pillow at him and he throw it back, she's talking about how he threw something at her. She hit him with a pot, he hit her back with a pot, she's talking about how he hit her. He's not allowed to do nothing. He's supposed to take the abuse or leave. Now, for men, I'm gonna tell y'all need to get the fuck out of these relationships with these women. If they're volatile, bro, you gotta dip early on in a relationship. Don't let it escalate to this situation where you got to kick down doors in your own house and fussing and cussing 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with no female. You're not supposed to have that shit happen. If she's not respecting your castle, bro, wait till she leave and go to the grocery store and put all her shit out on the street. Leave it at that. He said, what are your thoughts on adult children going no contact with their parents? Fuck it. You grown. Do whatever the fuck you want. Once you grown, once you reach that age where you, and I'm going to say adult children is different from adults. Adult children are children that are over the age of 18 and still under their parents' income. Adults pay for themselves. So adult children, as long as I pay for you, you will do what the fuck I tell you to do. When you stop following my instructions, you will be cut off of all of my resources. But if at any point in time that you decide that you want to come back and show me the respect that I deserve, since I am, as an adult, providing your adult ass with all the shit that you need to be an adult, then you will potentially be allowed to come back on the situation if and only if you show me the respect that I deserve, because I'm carrying your weight. Any dependent, it doesn't matter what your age is, and that's why we have this argument between women and men. Any age. When you are being financially supported by somebody else, you are a dependent. And as a dependent, you respect the provider. You follow the instructions of the provider. And that's why a lot of women are saying, I'll go 50-50. That way equal contribution entitles me to more authority. No. You should be able to follow the lead of the leader. Take your half and put it up into large investment opportunities so that y'all can retire at a reasonable age and live the rest of your life together, enjoying life together. But y'all are supposed to have the ability to communicate where you listen and then you watch, you observe, you report to him, have him take action, you reserve your energy, and when he can't handle it, you're the support. So if he got to go outside and pistol whip somebody and the situation goes south and he can't hold it down, that's when you come out with the Glock switch and level the playing field. But he should not have to fight you to go outside to fight somebody else on your behalf. You need to let your man be a man, because if you're not going to let your man be a man, then why do you got a man? Nicole said, my daughter haven't spoken to me in 20 years. Sweetheart, it'll be all right. She'll talk to you eventually. It was what, 35 years before I talked to my father again? She'll talk to you eventually. I was in one of those relationships. I told him to get out of it, and he put a ring on it. Shoo, no sir. My homeboy can't come. He can't even come to me and tell me no bullshit. If I told him he was going into a bad one and he went into it anyway, bro, you can't even call me and tell me that your day sucked. I don't give a fuck. You asked for that. The self-trauma, I don't have mercy for self-trauma, because you asked for that. You asked for that conflict. And that's why I'm telling this woman that what she did was wrong, because she did not do her part by putting that dog up. She started that that chaos. She did not apologize for it and put the dog up when he came back. And then she allowed it to get toxic. It got so bad to the point where they had to separate. And now she's going to sit here and talk about some, oh, blah, blah, blah. He apologizing to her. She should be apologizing to him, because she the one that started the shit, because she didn't put the damn dog up. He said, in the parents' eyes, you're always going to be a child. Yes, that's true. But in the parents' eyes, you supposed to be responsible as fuck too. I agree with you, Nicole. Even if she not talking to you because she pissed off at you because you put your foot down, fuck her. Let her be grown until life kick her in her ass. And then after she finished getting her ass whooped, she will come back and talk to you. She will come back and talk to you. Wait till she become a mother and go through the same shit with her child that you went through with her. At that moment, that's when she's going to have the realization that I need to bring the little girl over here by her grandma so that her grandma can do to her what I was getting when I was growing up, so that she can see that I'm trying better. But until the shoe is on the other foot, it is a lapse of understanding. Why do I have to do what you say? I'm grown. Well, then do it your damn self. He said he sound like an egomaniac, but no, she's telling the truth. Nicole is telling the truth. You've got to stand on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. As an adult, as a parent, you are not the child's friend. You can be friendly to the child, but you are not the child's friend. You are the child's protector. You are the child's provider. You are the child's authority. And at that authority, the child is supposed to respect you. The child is supposed to appreciate you. The child is supposed to value you. And in order for the child to do that, they must show obedience, because you can't keep them out of danger if they're not going to allow you to protect them. If your children, if you, I seen a movie just the other day. I was watching on Netflix, and a dude was being hunted down by some stone cold killers, and the police put him into a hotel, put security on the room. Nobody could get into the room. Dude snuck out the back window, jumped down from his 2-story hotel room, and ran out there and got himself shot in the back of the head. Now, had you stayed your ass where you were supposed to be at, being protected, you would have still been alive. In these situations, your parents can't keep you safe. Look at that movie, Taken, Neil Eason. Every time his daughter was in trouble was because she lied about where she was going and who the fuck she was with. Then her daddy had to go and kill half the society so that he could go and rescue his daughter and bring his daughter back. In one of them episodes, her best friend didn't even survive the same situation that she was in, and her daddy brought her back, and she still ain't had no respect for him in the third movie. I'm trying to figure out, like, why are children behaving like that? Help come get me now that the situation is out of my control. But at the end of the day, the children are not in that situation because the parents, they're in that situation because they didn't listen to the parents. Girlfriends are going to be in those negative situations because they don't listen to their boyfriends when the boyfriend says don't put that on and don't go to that location and get wasted. And why weren't you there to protect me? You put yourself in that situation. You told me to stay home. I stayed home. But if you would have followed my instructions, I'll go with you and then I can keep you safe. These things, there's a dynamic there. You have to sacrifice certain liberties in order to receive certain protections. There's no way around it. You can't be the boss of your own and not have responsibility for your decisions. Mix says, I'm sick of parents acting like the victim when they do a terrible job. Look, they got so many parents that do it bad the first time. They get it. Sometimes they don't even get it right by the fourth child. If you're an adult, if your adult child is choosing to not be in your life, it is your fault for being a bad parent 9 times out of 10. That's not true. 9 times out of 10, it is specifically because the child is rebellious against the authority. It's got nothing to do with being a bad parent. You can be the best parent that you can be. And really and truly, especially with your first child, you don't know what the fuck to do. All you know is that you don't want your child to get hurt unnecessarily. You don't want your child to end up being accosted by somebody else. If you got a boy, you don't want him with children at a young age. So you don't want your daughter with children against her will. You don't want your daughter with non-consent contact, and you don't want your son going to jail for non-consent contact. You don't want your son with children he can't afford to pay for. You don't want them to have broken bones in life. You don't want their feelings to get hurt. You don't want the people to steal stuff from them, and you start putting rules in place to protect them from all of that stuff, right? Then you feed them, you give them stuff, you show them responsibility by going to bed at an appropriate time so that you don't wake up too late. Kids don't like curfews. You show them not staying out too late prevents them from being caught up in negative situations. You give them curfews out in the street. You show them how to take care of themselves by giving them responsibilities that they don't want to do. It's not being a bad parent just because you didn't do what the child said do. It is the fact that the child decided that they got more authority over their life than what you do, and they're going to walk out there and try to be a Mr. Badass. That's fine. Go out there and be Mr. Badass if that's what you want to be. When you finish fucking the situation up, don't come over here thinking that I'm going to come and fix the situation 9 times out of 10. There's some stuff I'll come and bail you out of. But like my mama told me, if you get caught up in some shit where you did it wrong, I am not coming to visit you on Sundays. I'm not bailing you out. I'm not putting no money on your canteen, and I do not accept collect calls. But if you ain't had nothing to do with this situation, If you was just in the right place at the right time with the right skin complexion and they just swoop your ass up in the middle of the scenario, I will always have your back. I will always come get you, and I will make sure that you ain't in there long. So I was told from the beginning, first person accountability, that if I am deliberately breaking laws, that I will be abandoned by family. I knew from the beginning that I am not going to put myself in a situation where I am breaking a law because I know I will have no reinforcements. That puts me in a position of making wise decisions. Now, if I decided you can't tell me what to do, I'm going to smoke this blunt in front of this cop and flick it in his car, go to jail for a scheduled run drug charge, is that bad parenting or is that poor decision making from the person that got arrested? Because I don't think that would have been bad parenting. Mama and them said, we ain't coming to get you. Now you doing a long stretch. You ain't never had a visitor. Ain't nobody except to collect calls from you. You ain't got no money on your canteen. They ain't even paying for your public defender. You just out there. Why? Because you were told. If you don't follow instructions, you have to accept those consequences at some point. He said sometimes over parenting causes problems too. That is true. Over parenting, over restricting your children can cause problems. The children will feel suffocated. And a lot of times, mothers are overprotective. They don't allow the girls to have boyfriends. But if you allow boyfriends, now you have the problem of too much physical contact between the young adults. They don't know when it is an appropriate time to stop. The boys are going to continue to push until they get laid, and the girls are going to continue to cave until they get laid. He said, call the village. Well, it takes the whole village to be involved. If you allow your daughter to have boyfriends and you say don't close the door, then she closes the door, then you open the door and put the boy out, because the rules are if you have a boy in the house, you don't have him in a room with a closed door. That keeps you safe. Now, I'm allowing a man in my house. He shouldn't be in here. I'm allowing him in my house. He's not even going to respect my rules. Now he can't come over. She's going to get mad about that. Well, that's too fucking bad. That's the rules of the house. You either stay in the common areas or keep all the fucking doors open. So if I pass by and I know that you're safe, you good. Right? When I was young and I had girls over, my mama would bake cookies and then bring the damn cookies into the room and come in there with us. I had a fucking 32 speaker surround sound system, 5 TVs up in there. My room was like an entertainment system. Like the whole like movie experience was in the room. She'll come in there with baked cookies, some popcorn, bring us some drinks and shit. I'm just saying, like, never had no problems. He said, not my fault. If I got into trouble, they would have told me to solve it myself. Then they hang up on you. Click. But that's the point. The dynamic is that you must put yourself in a position of success. So once you teach your children the consequences of their actions, and a lot of times as a parent, you have to try to find ways to teach your children delayed consequences of their actions. Then they can make rational decisions. If you accept the consequences of your actions before you perform that action, whatever happens to you after that, that's what happens. That's what happens. And you've got to get through that part. And like with this second woman that came up here complaining about how she screwed up, she allowed it to escalate, and now she on the run from her boyfriend. She should have been the one groveling on her feet, apologizing to him and asking him for forgiveness, not the other way around. But whenever the parties break up, it's always the man that has to beg for forgiveness. The man does not have to do anything wrong. But in this situation where both parties did do wrong, she did wrong just like he did wrong, but she kicked this situation off. She should have been the one apologizing to him. Even if they didn't get back together, she should have been the one apologizing to him, because she started that fight by not creating a dog. She escalated that fight by snapping at him because she don't want to be talked to while she sleeps. It made no sense. She should have did what she knew was right. So she could have stayed asleep. She still could have broke up with him in the morning when she woke up, but she would not have had that conflict that was the excuse that she needed to leave. That's the issue that I have with that. Is that if I had girls over, my folks would have been showing them how condoms work. But that's what I'm saying. Look, we got the baby pictures out. We got the childhood photos out. We got auntie and uncles coming over. So it turned into a family reunion. Oh, who is she? Come over. Everybody got to come and meet this one. Yeah. So you can't be a player Because if this ain't the same girl that was there last week, you know, gonna be like, oh, you know what I mean? They gonna put you on the spot. They're gonna embarrass you in front of this person. That's part of the initiation for the chick. If she gonna stay with you after she met your family, she worth something. Because it's gonna be worse than Meet the Clumps. She gonna be embarrassing as hell. It's gonna be worse than Meet the Fockers. It's gonna be embarrassing as hell. By the time your engagement with your family is done, if she's still there, welcome to the family. There's nothing that can happen now that she's not gonna be comfortable with. And then let's go on to the next one.
I want to start by saying the word cheated might be strong for some, but at least by my standards and feelings, currently she cheated. She went out to the club with her girlfriends, and while out, she gave a guy her number. Not only that, her and her girlfriends want to get food after second spot, and the guys met them at the second spot. She texted the guy, asking how far his group was from the second spot. After leaving, the guy then texted and told her to call him in the morning. She didn't, so he called her the next morning. She didn't answer and blocked his number. This all happened in between the hours of 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. My problems here is that she gave a guy her number and was checking on his whereabouts. She doesn't know I know any of this info, and I don't want to expose how I got the info. I was thinking about asking her if there is anything in general that she needs to tell me or feel I should know. How should I approach her about this?
Okay, now, for all the ladies that's been watching the show for the last 45 minutes, I'm about to get in on his ass. Now, sure, that if you I'm gonna have to stand on business. That ain't really all that cheating. She was out there hanging with the squad. They had a second group that joined the group, and they was all having a platonic engagement with the squad. They decided to have a after club engagement at a restaurant with the squad. It was supposed to stay strictly platonic with the squad. There's no reason why you should have anything to worry about with that. Now, what happened was he did not get to the restaurant that they was all meeting at as a group. She's still in a relationship. He contacted her in the morning. She blocked him. She ain't trying to go that route. Had regrets and blocked his number. Now, yes, but I'm going to come from a position of neutrality. I'm going to come from a position of uniformity. If she was hanging out appropriately in a public setting with a group of individuals, 2-3 guys, 2-3 girls, everybody's hanging out like that 70s show. She's in a relationship, but her boyfriend isn't there. They're all going to another spot, and they're going to all hang out in the other spot. And then after that, she's going to take her ass home. If that was the case, there's no issue. She's not making out with this dude. They're not making sexual advances to one another. There's no issue. He tried to follow up with her in the morning. She blocked his number. Even if he followed up with her in the morning, she answered the phone. And then after the conversation that they had where he wanted something from her that she wasn't willing to provide, she blocked his number. The engagement that she had with him was severed. The issue that I'm going to have with this dude is the same issue that I had with the first two women that we talked about. Your ass found out this contact from this girl and that dude because you was snooping through her fucking phone. So, again, I'm going to say, leave that shit alone. Leave that shit alone. Look, exactly. There ain't no backstory. There ain't no, she did something conspicuous or nothing to that effect. Leave that shit alone. So, you know that she blocked that number. So, the only thing that you can do is ignore it. Because if you engage her in any way, shape, or form, utilizing this information as the catalyst for the reason for your behavior, she will know that you have betrayed her trust and gone through her phone and gotten this information, which puts you in a position where you cannot be trusted by her to not accuse her of deceptive behavior. The concern that I have is that you're not supposed to be in this type of situation where you have to be cautious about what you do and where you go in your day-to-day life, to be fearful of retaliation from your personal spouse or whatever. when you get back to the house. When you go out, you're supposed to live life like a normal human being and then come back and be comfortable and capable of telling your partner everything you did. So with that being said, if you want to see if she's going to tell you what happened, you could have gone and said, hey, how was your night out with your friends the other day? She should be able to say, oh, we was hanging out for a little bit. We ended up connecting with some dudes or whatever. Oh, okay, yeah. One of them gave me their number because we was all going to the next spot. And I guess my friend's phone was dying, so he gave me hers because I still had power on mine. And I was trying to reach them to go to the restaurant when they didn't show up. I said, fuck it, went home. And then he tried to call me in the morning thinking he was going to turn something into something. And I said, nope, and blocked his number. If she going to give you the whole story, bro, don't worry about it. But truth is, if you're doing what you're supposed to do as a dude, one, your ass would have been there. So, I mean, the fact that you wasn't there, you kind of set yourself up for that. Two, if you're doing what you're doing as a relationship, as a man, she should have enough respect for you to not allow any interaction she has with the opposite sex or even with the same sex to become inappropriate. If you trust your woman, you trust her to not devalue your relationship by getting involved with someone else that is not involved in your relationship. That's my observation of that. Now, let's go ahead and touch base with the next one because we do got a few of these, man. We did hours of change.
Please tell me I'm crazy. This is going to be a long one, but please bear with me. You need the context.
Hold on. Yeah, exactly. But we everybody's going to agree to it because I'm talking about it from a man's perspective. But 2 ladies ago, there was a lot of frustration and friction involved. But now you see what I said when the women said what they said, because I'm like, look, from the man's perspective, it applies the exact same way. Don't go looking for trouble that you're not ready to deal with. He said, okay, I'm crazy. I am crazy. I'm coming from a position that I have the peace of mind to know that when I decide to commit to a specific individual, that this individual is not going to do something that is going to piss me off. So accidents can happen, and accidents don't frustrate me, but deliberate behavior will piss me off. So if I'm going to pick the kind of person that is going to give me the respect that I deserve, that's going to show me the appreciation that I deserve, I'm going to reciprocate that. I'm not going to say we're never going to have an argument. I'm not going to say that we're never going to have a disagreement. But what we're not going to do is have a lack of trust with one another. What we're not going to do is have a lack of loyalty between one another. And when they stop having loyalty and you stop having trust, at the end of the day, the relationship is done. I don't care how many years you're involved. So if you start feeling insecure about what's going on, you should be able to come and talk to me about that. If I start feeling insecure about what's going on, I should be able to come and talk to you about that. We should be able to have a level of transparency in our relationship to express our feelings with one another that allows us to talk about what's bothering us so that we can work it out so that it stops bothering us. Because the fact that something's bothering you is going to change your behavior. It's going to lead to resentment. It's going to lead to retaliation. And you're retaliating to how you feel, not what the other person did. What you think happened, not what actually happened. And that retaliation is going to trigger retaliation from the other person. Now we're just playing get backs with one another until one of us break up. That is what we want to avoid. So in full transparency, we want no resentment, no retaliation, and no negative reaction. So no devaluation, none of that. You tell me what you're going to tell me like a full-on confessional. I'm going to listen. It's going to go into the vault like a Disney vault and never be seen again. I'm going to do the same thing for you. And that way we don't have any issues that will negatively impact our relationship. High levels of estrogen in the body causes hair loss. How high levels of testosterone in the body causes hair loss? There's actually I do believe it's like a DHT hormone that actually can be exacerbated from keratin that can cause hair loss. So you can find that in a lot of different places. But the fact is that the too much stress can cause um, a large quantity of cortisol, and that cortisol can cause belly fat, and that belly fat cannot be worked off in the gym, and women can go from being skinny, heavily attractive women to just being heavy women from all the unnecessary stress that they put on themselves by worrying about shit that they shouldn't be worrying about. All right, let's get back to this woman's comment.
I've contemplated posting this for a long time. I don't know who is gonna see it or if anyone will respond at all, but I've been plagued by horrific thoughts of my husband.
Oh,
I don't want to give
you.
away too much information. I am 26, married to my husband who is 27. We have children. He has no prior experience with children. He is the oldest. No nieces, no nephews. I have a huge family, 8+ nieces and nephews. In the very beginning of our relationship, he was super close to my nieces and would play around with them, and most of the time would be drunk, and for some reason that made me uncomfortable. Just a little too friendly. While drunk, he even once smacked my niece on the butt, but he's seen me do it, so I brushed it off and told him, hey, not cool, and even brought it up that it made me uncomfortable. I didn't accuse him of anything, I just said, you need to take a step back, you have to have boundaries, they are not your kin, and he totally flipped his fucking lid. That's the only time I've ever actually heard him scream at me. Rightfully so. I figured any man would be pissed if he was innocently playing with a child and something like that got brought up. So I brushed it off. He has been pissed about it ever since and will bring it up and has told people about that conversation, referencing our only real fight. Fast forward a short amount of time and he's playing with my nieces again, drunk. Again, and my sister's best friend saw it and said it was weird, he's too close. I ignored that comment. He's just playing around with them. But I do start having thoughts, having been abused myself, what if, and it always seems to be when he's drunk. What if I'm missing the signs? I never forgot the feeling I felt when how uncomfortable I was the first time it got brought up. Fast forward again years later, I have a friend over. 6 years old daughter, autistic, same age my niece was at the time. We're drinking, having fun. He gets up from the table to play with the kids. It's not the first time he's played with her, but for some reason it's every time he's drunk. A week later my friend texts me and tells me it made her uncomfortable. How he hangs all over her while he's drunk and it makes her daughter upset. We go to another party, he's drunk, 13 years old girl, they are playing around, wrestling around, play fighting. I told him to stop, it's weird. The little girl was trying to kick him in the balls. That's so fucking inappropriate. Fast forward again. Epstein Files gets brought up and he stands with Trump saying he's innocent. I asked him, what if your daughter came to you and said your best friend who you love and is the best guy in the world touched her in a bad way? What would you do? His response was, my best friend wouldn't do that. I don't believe he would ever do something like that. Am I paranoid because of trauma? Am I overthinking? Reading into it too much? He is a good man, everything about him is great. I don't truly believe he would ever hurt a child, but am questioning what he thinks about in his head. Loyal, hardworking, honest. Never raised a hand to me. Treats me like a queen and loves his children. What would you think? What would you do?
Well, I'm gonna tell you that your ass is overreacting and you being irresponsible by listening to your toxic friends that are shaming your man for being a man and trying to have any type of social interaction with any type of female of any age. He's not inappropriately groping the girls. He's not grooming them in any kind of way, and he's not trying to make out with these kids or anything to that effect. The kids are not feeling uncomfortable around him. The kids are not formulating any complaints. The kids are not talking about, oh, he touched me inappropriately or he's doing things that I don't like or anything to that effect. Yeah, the child trying to kick him in the balls was inappropriate, but you should not be scolding him because a child is trying to kick him in the balls. They got that thing in Naruto where you take your fingers and shove it in other people's butts. That's not appropriate, right? But it's in the cartoons. All the kids are going to do it. You as a man can't do that because, oh, sexual harassment to the child. But the child can shove their finger in your ass. Now, you got to understand. The fact is that she's coming from an area of trauma. She's projecting her trauma into these interactions where the kids have absolutely no problems. The kids have absolutely no complaints. And the traumatized women as adults are now projecting their trauma onto the man. I think all of y'all ladies need to get some damn counseling, and y'all need to go sit y'all ass down somewhere. There's no reason why. Child, look, these children have way too much power. He said, love other people's children too. That's what I'm saying. The dude is able to sit there and chill and hang out with anybody's kids. Counselors can get out there and have fun with people's kids, and ain't no issue. The pastor at the church is more intimate with the children than your boyfriend is, and you take them to church every week and leave them with the pastor. I don't understand. Is that why they talking to kicking them in the balls? Because they was out there play fighting. They were wrestling with the girls is wrestling like boys, and somebody figure I'm gonna fix you and kick him in the nuts. And because somebody told the kids, whether they seen it in a cartoon or somebody told them as a growing up, that kick him in the balls and that'll make them stop, or kick him in the balls and that'll take him down. And some kids think, oh, well, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts and that'll fix you. And then, but you also got to understand that 30, 40 years old, we are the first or second generation of WWE fans. So a lot of us, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, power bombing kids all over the place, scoop slamming kids all over the place, ankle lock, STFU, all of this other stuff, F5s all over the place, RKO, stunners, super kicks, all kinds of stuff is happening with the kids and the adults because it's the second and third generation stuff. But the women make it toxic. How the women perceive it make it toxic. Because it's okay for the women to do it with the kids. It's okay for the women to do it with the girls, but it's not okay for the men to do it. And that is the toxic part. And I believe that it's not inappropriate for a man to have fun with his kids or somebody else's kids. It's as long as he's not inappropriately groping the children. Okay. He's not grabbing them in their genitals. He's not caressing their bodies or anything to that effect. If he's playing around, if he's horse playing with the kids, then he's horse playing with the kids. And it should not be perceived as inappropriate. But the kids kicking him in the butt of balls, that's inappropriate. And that should stop. And she should have told the children, don't be trying to kick adults in the ball. Don't be trying to kick anybody in the balls unless you're doing it for self-defense. So that shouldn't be done. But everything else, there shouldn't be an issue. So is she overreacting? Is she overthinking it? Yes, she is. But I do agree with Nicole, because Nicole said that children has too much power these days. Children outside of my family got too much power. Because in my family, I'm from the old school. You're going to do what I say. It's not going to be the other way around. This isn't a situation where you are going to choose to defy my authority and then decide that you're more grown than I am. That's not going to work out. When you choose to get the fuck out of my house, you're going to choose to get out, because I'm not going to put you out. You're going to stay here until you can afford to support yourself. And while you stay here, you will follow my instructions, or you will have nothing except the bare necessities: clean clothes, clean food, and a good shower. Freedom, what is that? Because as an adult, if you don't follow the authority of the police, you will be in jail. You will have the same limited freedom: 3 hots and a cot. If you go to court and you stop talking, you stop respecting the judge, you're going to have the same freedom: 3 hots and a cot. If you defy your boss, you're not going to have a job. You're not even going to have the 3 hots or the cot. You're just going to be out there hungry and homeless. You don't follow the instructions from your teachers, you're not going to be able to graduate out of college. You're not going to be able to get out of high school. You're just going to be unemployable, and you're going to be struggling on that. The old school is the best way of doing things. The old school is the best way of doing things. These folks need ass whoopers. That's what they need. I seen one video on TikTok where these teachers were spraying all the kids in the face with mace so that they could see how I feel. I think that the children need to get their ass whooped so that they can see what getting an ass whooped feel like, and then allow them to choose. This is how you teach children responsibility. Now, should I whoop your ass and your punishment is done now, or should I give you 3 to 6 months worth of servitude type of behavior? Extra detention, in-school suspensions, you can't go to prom, you can't go out on the field trips, you can't go see your friends, all of this other stuff, and let you choose. Beat my ass, or I'm grounded forever. Let me choose. That corporal punishment is still involved, because there's certain things that you're just going to get an ass whooping for. You break a car window, I'm going to bust your ass. We ain't discussing that. But there's certain things that you can do, like talking back to an adult. You choose. You choose. Do you want the ass whooping, or do you want to not have nothing for 6 months? You choose. The ass whooping is faster. The ass whooping is faster. You take your punishment now, it's done, and by the time the pain is gone, you should be in bed asleep. You wake up tomorrow, you'll remember that hurt. And hopefully you won't do it again. But at the end of the day, these kids out here just running wild. Oh, go take a time out. They having temper tantrums and shit in the store, embarrassing you and shit. Like these kids over here on the airport, airplanes in the airport and shit, crying the whole fucking flight. You need to make it clear to that little child that if you raise your voice on this plane, I'm going to slap the taste out of your mouth and get kicked off of this fucking plane. Now, you choose to be quiet on the plane or pick your teeth up off the floor. Now, some people are going to say, oh, that's domestic violence. That's child abuse. That's child abuse. All right. But when you own them planes with the parents that's listening to their child cry and they sitting over there with their head down trying to pretend like they can't hear, all embarrassed because they can't do nothing to shut the child up, you thinking to yourself, oh, shit, I would have never took this child nowhere. Why they won't shut this child up? Oh, my God, I wish I would have blah, 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 blah. If this was my child, I would have been shut him up. That's when you start thinking, beat that ass, because that's exactly what the hell you would have did. So stop saying it's child abuse when unnecessary behavior is not received by corporal punishment, because society has no problem with corporal punishment. Look at that man that got beat to death until they shot him out there with that ice raid. Look at the girl who drove off in her car and got gunned down. As an adult, you can't defy authority. You can lose your life by defying authority. So as a child, you should be able to get your ass whooped by the authority in your house to show you that your actions will have the consequences that you don't like, so that you start choosing as a child to not go down the path of getting your ass whooped. Instead of children fucking up the car and talking about something, oh, my parents is going to kill me. They're like, oh, hell no, I'm not fucking with this car because my ass hurt from the last time I fucked with this car. At the end of the day, I can leave my shit somewhere and my kids ain't fucking with it because they already know that it's going to get their ass whooped. That's the logic behind it. We grew up in an era where we didn't touch stuff. We had parents with guns all over the house, and we didn't touch stuff. We would play hide and go seek. You would never see us pulling triggers on guns and looking down barrels. You would never see us taking Tide Pods and choking on that shit. You would never see us taking a spoon of Clorox and trying to down that, talking about some Clorox challenge. You would never see us setting one another on fire, talking about the fire challenge, because we knew better. We knew better. We seen one person get electrocuted in our childhood, and we was like, not touching electrical plugs. I'm not fucking with it. We didn't have, oh no, little Timmy, don't touch that. No, fuck that shit. No, go ahead and let him stick that butter knife in that wall socket. He's sitting over there looking like Wile E. Coyote. We had parents that sat there and watched the cartoons with us. Now, just because he dropped that anvil on his head don't mean that you can go drop an anvil on your friend's head, because it'll crush their skull and then you'll be in prison. That's how we were seeing cartoons. Like, oh, well, it's funny on this show, but if I try this in real life, I'm going to be in prison. You know what I'm saying? But parents nowadays, the TV is a damn babysitter. They don't know what the hell their kids is watching. Then when you see kids doing inappropriate stuff that they saw on TV, you sitting over here wondering, oh, well, where they get that from? Then you want to limit what is put on the TV because you're not going to limit what your children watch. What kind of shit is that? Why are you limiting TV for adults because your children are being watched by a television instead of your children being watched by a human being? What kind of shit is that? Your bad parenting is being trickled off onto society. That's bullshit. All right, let's move on to the next comment.
My husband and I are in our 40s, married 15 years, 2 kids pre-teens. Marriage has its ups and downs, like anyone's. We definitely grew apart over the years after focusing on kids, family time, work, life, etc. We both made the mistake of not focusing on each other, something I regret dearly. For content, he's not abusive, he's kind, we get along for most part, but he wants to watch TV or sleep, leaving me with everything else. He's also has mental health issues he's trying to deal with, and I get it makes him sleepy.
Okay.
There's nothing going on in the bedroom at all either for years.
Okay.
When I talk to him about things, It gets better for a while but then back into old ways. Friends/family says keep trying, it will get better, it don't.
That's true.
I feel like I'm living my own life and he his. It's also hard to talk to him on a deep level as that connection is not there or he judges me. Not sure I want to divorce over this, but I can't stay like it is. Been this pattern for years. A few months ago he started therapy, but I almost feel like that's too late.
Okay, so here's the thing. Y'all are content with one another. Y'all been treating each other a certain way for 15 years. That's a career. That's 5 years short of a full career. Now that the children are old enough to start operating on their own, y'all start paying attention more to one another. You can't start doing something today and get instant results. It's just like what I was telling Sherry 2 days ago, that you 2 months of doing this, starting to pay attention to your husband after 30 years of not paying attention to your husband is not going to get your husband to turn over a whole new leaf. The first 2 months of you doing the same thing where you start paying attention to your husband might start getting your husband to open up just a little bit. But you're going to have to continue for the rest of this year paying attention to your husband and prioritizing your husband so that your husband will see that this is a new behavior for you that will be consistent. Because a lot of times back in the day, you would have done something for him once, don't do it again for the rest of the year, and then you'll name that activity as if that's something you do all the time. Just like when we was on the show a couple days ago and Sherry was like, oh yeah, she rubbed her man's feet once and he rubbed hers once. Yeah, but that's once. That's not every fucking day. The dude is working as a doctor. Dude's on his feet 12 to 18 hours a day. Are you rubbing his feet 5 days a week or just that one time? You know, women try to take the tasks that they do and list them in concession and make it seem like they're doing so much on a regular basis. But more often than not, the consistency is the dishes and the cleaning and the laundry. That's it. That's the consistency. Anything outside of that is not consistent. Paying attention to the aches and pains of your man is not consistent. Paying attention to what's going on outside of the house is not consistent. She's not out there with a lawnmower cutting the grass. She's not outside the house washing the windows and repainting the house. She's not outside of the house and fixing the roof. She's not taking the cars to the mechanic shop and fixing all the cars. She's not managing the man's schedule. She's not managing the man's budget. She's not investing in stuff for the man. She's not doing nothing other than keeping the dishes clean, cooking, keeping the rest of the house clean and doing some laundry, which is housekeeper work. So women find that misogynistically oppressive. But at the end of the day, you're not doing anything else in your relationship besides that. And that makes a problem. Do you want kids one day if you don't have any? Of course, plenty of kids. Plenty of kids. But men aging and becoming more valuable to women would allow me, as long as the idea of having kids in my mind to be a thing, would require to have a limitation. Because if the woman has reached an age where she's not allowed or not able to reproduce, or if she has a health issue that prevents her from reproducing, since my desire to reproduce would put me in a position to date women that can reproduce, then the person that I'm going to be looking at is going to be in a certain age grade. That's it. And at my current age, 50% of my age plus 7 would put the woman somewhere around 25 to 28. Which between 25 and 28, she would have a good 12 years to have 6 kids. If she has 3 kids, that's good. 3, 4 kids, that's good. You know, typically, 2.5 is what the statistical average is. So if a woman is willing to have 2 over the course of 12 years, and this is another dynamic when you start talking about dating, you have guys that are looking at these biological clocks. You want the children to already be born before 40, which would require the ability for you to have already had her give birth before 40. So she's giving birth at 38 or 39. And if she's giving birth between 38 or before 38 or 39, then that means that she would have been pregnant at 37 or 38. So now you're saying that she has to be 3 years older than, or 3 years younger than 40. Now you're looking at the fact that however many kids you want to have, if you're having 1 to 2 years apart for each child, you're looking at, if you wanted 3 kids, you're going back 6 years from 37, which is 31. And then you're going to tell yourself, well, we're probably going to be around each other for 1 to 2 years so that there's no pressure in her ability to give birth. That's 1 to 2 years before 31, that's 29. So if you want 3 kids, you got to meet her between 28 and 29 so that she has the capabilities of giving you 1 to 3 kids before 39. That dynamic makes it logical that a man says, well, if she's older than 29, I'm not dating her because I'm not going to be able to get that 3-kid mark by 40. Then you got the women that don't want to have children until they're 35. Well, if you're 35 and you're willing to have kids at 35, I can at least get 2 kids out of you in 5 years, maybe 3. But if I met you at 30 and you're going to start having kids at 35, it gave me 5 years to establish a relationship and still be able to drop the kids between 35 and 40. So the dynamic is that the older she gets, the less valuable she is, because if the issue of childbirth is the problem, then because we're in a Western culture, very few women put their eggs up on the shelf. You're in a position where there's not enough time for a natural birth. But in Asia, women put their eggs up on the shelf. So at 40 years old, she can still be a mother because she doesn't have to give birth. She can get a surrogate. That's a big difference. Do I go on dates? No, I am not wasting money on dates. And one of the reasons why I'm not wasting money on dates is because the women that I communicate with do not show the value that I expect to have in the type of partner that I would have. I actually curate the conversation that I have with the person before the date comes up is going to require her to confirm that certain types of behaviors is going to be the behaviors that will be going forward. And if I can confirm that that's not that type of behavior, like for example, a woman is not willing to follow instructions, I'm not even going to take your ass out on a date. Because why? Why am I wasting my money on you? Now, do you want to take me somewhere? Sure, you can take me somewhere. But I know that this isn't going to go anywhere because at the end of the day, you're not willing to follow instructions. In order for us to be successful, you have to be willing to follow instructions. You haven't been on a date in a while? I don't blame you. You shouldn't date. You should focus on fixing yourself up, build yourself up as a higher value man. And then when you build yourself up as a higher value man, instead of taking people on dates, you should have personal outings where you go out on your own by yourself for the sake of enjoying quality time out of the house with no expectation of meeting another person, no expectation of exchanging contact information, no expectation of bringing somebody back to the house for you. If you're going to go out to dinner, you're going to dinner because that's what you wanted to do, not because you're taking somebody out. You want to go see a movie, you go watch the movie because that's what you want to do, not because you're taking somebody out. You want to go dancing because that's what you want to do, not because you're taking somebody out. And then if in the event that somebody decides that they want to get to know you, I already have plans. Do you want to accompany me? And if I already have plans, I've already got this $60 reservation at this expensive 5-star restaurant because that's how I treat myself. Do you want to accompany me? Not, I'm trying to impress you and I'm going to spend all of this money to impress you when I normally would have got myself a double cheeseburger out the drive-thru. I'm not about to do that shit. I'm not about to treat you better than I treat myself to impress you, to convince you to stay with me when I don't even know if I like you yet. The only thing I've learned so far is that I might be willing to sleep with you, but that does not mean that I'm gonna like you after I sleep with you, because you could be butt ugly and you could be breaking a streak. We call them slump busters. A girl that's on the bottom end of the type of women you're willing to sleep with. You'll sleep with her, but you wouldn't be seen in public with her. So a man would be willing to sleep with you. There's no reason why I would be wasting my time and my effort and my money on trying to impress a woman that I don't even know if I like you yet. So I want to find out if she has the capabilities to be the kind of woman that I'm looking for first. And then if she does have that capability, then I might follow up with that. If I got to spend $4,000 and fly to the Philippines and then start talking to some females in Philippines, and it'd be some simple shit. Let me get some directions. Help me find out good places to eat. Since you here, sit down. If she showed me where to go to get something to eat, she did something for me that I needed done, which makes her valuable. Now, she decided to come back to the house and show me how to keep my house organized. That makes her valuable. She decided to fix my car. That makes her valuable. This is the kind of woman that I'm like, oh, well, shit, she's showing me all the stuff that the 1920s women used to do in America that they don't do anymore. This woman's got value. If she's willing to take care of my elderly family members, well, if they come out on a trip with me, she's showing me value. She's looking after my dog because I took my dog on a trip with me. She's showing me value. She's prioritizing my needs. She's showing me value. That's the kind of woman that I'm going to say, I want to spend more time with this person. A woman from the Philippines is going to say, I'm going to give you 15 to 20 years to get it right. And if not, then I'm going to leave. So if she's doing it right on the first 3 months, she's doing everything that I expect a woman to do in the first 3 months, that's the woman that I'm going to keep. But I got to have an expensive car for you to talk to me. I got to be wearing a certain outfit for you to talk to me. I got to pay for a 5-star restaurant in order for you to sit 2 hours with me to tell me what your last name is. I'm not doing that shit. That's a waste of fucking money. I'm not doing that shit. Then a lot of the Western culture women don't really want to have kids until they almost 40. And then I'm supposed to be paying for her standard of living until she decides that she's too old to have kids? No. We just recognize I'm building a legacy. So if I'm building a legacy, why am I taking a woman out that ain't even willing to have kids? So the first question I'm asking, do you have motherhood in your future? No, we ain't going out on a date. I know Nicole, like, damn, that's a harsh question out the gate. But a lot of women ask a man out the gate, how much money do you make as a man? And that's a bullshit ass question. Because how much do I make should have nothing to do with whether or not we go places. Michael says, what are good ways to determine if a woman is willing to follow instructions before a date is established? Give them an instruction. Because you can't ask, they'll lie. You give them an instruction. Typically, you're going to find out on the date if she's willing to follow instructions. So you got to do things like have her hold your cell phone. Like, hold this for me. Make sure your phone is locked now. But like you doing something at the thing and you hand her a phone, hold this, and she hold it, no questions asked. You come to the table and you tell her where to sit, and she sits, no questions asked. You know, if you want to boof in the back, she's not gonna complain. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of tasks that you can do, but in order for you to find out before you take her out on a date to see if she's willing to follow instructions minutely, first and foremost, walk with me and talk. That's an instruction. You start walking. If she don't follow, she's not going to follow instructions. You could be walking in the same direction as she was going because you're not trying to stop her from living her life. So if she was going to the left and you was going to the right and you stopped with her, she said, well, I was in the middle of something. All right, then walk with me and talk. We're going to start walking in the direction that she was going to walk. Where's you headed? I'm going to walk you there. Then you see if she's going to walk with you and talk. No, that's okay. I'm good on my own. Fuck you then. I'm gone. At the end of the day, as you engage, as a man, you are capable of delivering insignificant instructions. And if she's able to follow them, you know that she's going to be able to follow them. You know that she's going to be, and you're going to be able to add on that, capitalize on that. Because what women don't understand is that a man that's capable of handling his own is not going to give her a lot of hard shit. He's not going to have her digging ditches and shit like that. But if y'all was carrying groceries into the house, he might give her the instruction of take the light stuff and I'll take the heavy stuff. Now, a woman that doesn't follow instructions, no, that's all right. I can get the heavy stuff. And then she'll hurt herself carrying the heavy stuff into the house. Now I have to console the fact that she done fucked herself up. Well, if you did what I told you to do and only take the light stuff, don't carry too much heavy stuff, and I will get the heavy stuff. If you would have listened to me, you wouldn't be hurt. We can do this together, but we're going to split it 60-40 or 70-30, where you're going to carry 30% of the light stuff, and I'm going to carry 70% of the heavy stuff. Following instructions can be in the woman's benefit, you know? But a lot of times women believe that following instructions is oppressive, like, oh, we're going to have you in some type of King Arthur servitude kind of thing, some King Solomon servitude kind of thing. But they have no problem with being groupies to rock stars and doing whatever the rock stars tell them to do. They have no problem with catching a plane and being flown to a different state where they have no resources. They leave with no money, no ID, and they just go places on demand's money, and they have no problem with doing that, but they have a huge problem with following the instructions of their man. The first handful of engagements, before I even start spending money, we're going to take place. We going to meet places for free. Go for a walk and some shit. Come with me. Let's go this way. You know, meet me at this spot over here. You know, if she's not willing to follow instructions, she's not willing to follow, come here and go there and sit down and let's go and stuff like that kind of instructions, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. And some women are going to say, oh, that's oppressive. That's misogynistic. No. As a man that has his shit together, you need a woman that's going to back your play. And backing your play means you called the play. She ain't backing your play, then she's calling the play. And if she's supposed to be following your agenda, where as a man, if she's got goals and ambitions, you're going to incorporate her goals and ambitions into your final plan. And if you're incorporating her goals and ambitions into your final plan, this is how we will succeed together. She need to follow that lead, because her ability to pay attention to you, she should be able to pay attention to your decision-making skills. If she's not paying attention to your decision-making skills, then she's selecting the wrong man, because she selected a man that's going to spend money on her, but not make choices that she agrees with. So if she's paying attention to his decision-making skills, when he say go left, if she would have went left on her own, she's going left. She might not have went left. She might have would have went right, but you know what? I'm going to go left just to see how this turns out, just to see if I can trust his judgment. If a woman can't put on it, here's another thing that you can do with her, Stephen. If you could put a blindfold on without touching her at all and give her instructions to get to the event, you know that you got a woman that'll follow instructions. If she's so scared and she's scared to move and she wants to do something, but she don't want to do something, you don't got a woman that'll follow instructions. Trust me, walk forward. When I tell you to turn, you turn. When I tell you to stop, you stop. We just going to see how well this works out for you. I'm not going to let you get hurt. I'm not going to let you fall so I can laugh at you. But I just want you to go in this direction with me. If she's capable of handling that, bro, she'll handle it. Michael said, is there a part of you that isn't dating because it makes you nervous? That's a good question. No, there's no part of me that doesn't date because it makes me nervous. All men have had a situation in their life, even in my current age level, where men in my age group and older that have been nervous upon approach to a woman. And the nervousness is going to come from not the expectation of rejection, but the boisterous behavior of the woman when the rejection occurs. Men aren't really all that afraid of being rejected. We expect it 98% of the time. It is how much of an ass you're going to be when you reject us is what we're concerned about. If I go over here and talk to her, she might start yelling and devaluing me in public, and then everybody will know I got rejected. It's not so much the fact that I got rejected between me and her. It's the fact that most men are in a position where not only does the man get rejected by her, it is broadcasted to everybody inside of earshot of this situation that the man got rejected. That's what men are nervous about. Being deliberately embarrassed by the woman to society about the rejection. However, I have no problem with walking up and talking to a female, but I also know that if you are providing a negative behavior, I'm not even going to waste my time with talking to you. Not because I'm nervous about what will you say. It is because if you agreed with me, I am getting a girl that is already showing me negative behavior before we meet. Now, the problem with that mentality is that however you're going to deal with me on day one is only going to get worse as time goes on, because you're going to develop a level of entitlement. So if you already have a superiority complex, when I start talking to you, where you believe that I'm beneath you and you're talking down to me and I'm going to beg you to stay in my presence, the problem is now you're going to get used to that pedestal behavior, and then you're going to continue to talk down to me more the further the relationship goes. I'm not going to allow you to be on that pedestal from day one. So if I'm looking at somebody that's overly egotistical, you can be self-absorbed. I'm self-absorbed too, but you're not going to be so self-absorbed that you're going to devalue me. See what I'm saying? So I have no problem with communicating with a person if that person behaves well. But I also understand that I know certain individuals, when I see their behavior patterns, when I see their mannerisms, that this particular type of person is not displaying the certain body languages that leads me to believe that they have interest. There are some individuals that will give you that indication. I've done things where I would leave my phone in the car or something like that. And then I've had a conversation with a female before, and I would, oh man, I don't have my phone with me. If I would have had my phone, I would have asked you for your number. Now, knowing that, if the woman was interested in me, her rebuttal to that would have been, oh, don't worry about it. Give me your number. I'll text you. If that's not the response, this ain't going nowhere. So I don't have to put myself in a position to, oh, let me take you out on a date or something like that. You know, all I had to do was say, man, I wish I had my phone with me. I would have gotten your number. So now you know I'm interested. If you don't capitalize on that, you ain't worth my time. So I don't have to be afraid of rejection in that situation, because I still got rejected because she didn't offer me her phone number. I still got rejected, but I'm not being humiliated by the rejector. And that's what men are nervous about, being humiliated by the rejector. I just come from a different approach. I'm not going to come from an approach to embarrass her in front of her friends. I'm going to put myself in a position where we are communicating, but it is your choice to follow up with me, because I'm not just going to say I'm the prize. I'm from the position of the provider. I am the business in this engagement. You are the applicant in this engagement. You're going to be the dependent. In this engagement, you are going to get resources from me. You need to know that I'm hiring, but you need to apply. It is not my responsibility to give you this role. It is not my responsibility to bribe you into this role. It is not my responsibility to compel you or convince you to accept this role. It is your responsibility to ask for this role, and it is your responsibility to perform the role before the role is given to you. The same way you would perform the role for your boss before you got the promotion, the same way you would explain your qualifications for the job in the interview, and the same way during the training phase that you're showing the boss that you can do this with on your own without somebody overseeing you, is the same way that you're going to do the same thing in a relationship with me. So I am not going to be out there prostrating and peacocking for women and begging for their time and their attention. I got too much shit going on. When I walk out of my house, I got places to be. I got shit to do. I got a calendar that I follow. My phone rang off the hook. I got it on silent right now, just so that I'm not in a situation where the stuff that I got going on outside of the show is not interfering with the show. I'm always looking over, because I'm looking over and checking messages while I'm talking to y'all. And throughout my day, it'll be the same way. If I'm in a relationship with somebody, I'm going to prioritize them. How am I going to prioritize them? When they're in my presence, my phones are on silent. It's not because I got something to hide. It's because I don't want my phones to distract me from my person. So if she want to screen my calls, you better be working for my business. And if somebody calls and turns out to be a female, you better get that money. Because not a now person that I talk to in life that is outside of the relationship that I'm in is going to be talking to me about anything other than them putting money in my pocket. So if a woman is calling me right now, that's because she got my money. And if you, my woman, you better get that money. And you better not disrespect them either, because that it might turn into reoccurring money. So these insecure women that we have had in the comment section for the longest period of time, they would not benefit a man that is making money, because she's insecure. What if each one of the women in them photos would have been clients? And what if them and it depends on what the company is, because if I'm in real estate and those women are trying to buy houses, I'm trying to sell them. If those are women trying to sell houses, I'm trying to sell them. If I need to know what my client look like and I get a photo, oh, that's the client. My girlfriend can't be upset or insecure that my client sent me a photo of who they looking like, so that I can know who I'm looking for in the meeting that I'm about to go to. Just like I told y'all before, I podcast. I got women on my podcast. The way these women was talking on tonight's show not the ones in the comment section, the ones that we've been listening to, the way these women was talking on the show, those women would be insecure about me doing this live podcast for the last 2 hours. I was talking to 3 women and a bunch of men, but because there were at least 3 women on the show, the woman that I would have been dating would have been insecure about me being on the podcast. She would have wanted me to shut down my whole operation because of her insecurity. Now, a woman that is good for my agenda recognizes what I do. She would be able to monitor the camera. She would be able to do the camera changes. She'd be working on the SEOs. She would be helping me with the comment section. She's going to support what I do, or she's not going to be here. Because I'm not going to, my mission comes first. I'm not going to stop my podcast for this female. And the reason why I say that is because if she was on her grind and she had her own mission going, if I'm not going to support her mission, I shouldn't be there. If she's trying to start up a business and I'm not investing in her startup, I shouldn't be there. If she's trying to elevate herself and her corporation and I'm not trying to help her elevate, I shouldn't be there. So since the mutual respect is supposed to be that as a good man, I'm going to elevate my woman as a good woman, she's supposed to elevate her man. And elevating her man is not dominating her man. Elevating her man is not devaluing her man. Elevating her man is not distrusting or disloyalty towards her man. Elevating her man is not to shame him in public or society or in any way, shape, or form, put him in his place in society. It is to respect her man to the umpteenth degree. Because my image in society is going to be contingent to how I handle my household. And if I can't handle my household, how can I handle business? And if I can't handle business, how can I handle money? And if I can't handle money, how am I going to make money? So if she's not here to aid me in my ability to be successful, if she is not going to be part of my gold standard, then there's no reason for me to communicate with her. And there's a lot of them that I look at that they could not hold a candle to my operation. They're more focused on the Epstein list. They're more focused on their hair and nails and eyelashes. They're more focused on name brand clothing and Chanel because of that song with the water dance and the little girl shaking her behind. And they're so busy on their TikTok dances. They're not paying attention to how their value reflects me or how their lack of value in some situations reflects me. And if they're not willing to follow instructions and reincorporate themselves positively into my operation, I'm wasting resources. The more I connect with this person, the more I'm wasting my time and the more I'm wasting my resources. Yeah, I could put a little bit of money into this person or a lot of bit of money into this person and maybe have a frequent sex partner, but I am wasting my money for sex, which is transactional. It is transactional, and that is not beneficial for my 20-year plan. That is not beneficial for my long-term goals. And since that is not beneficial, I'm not going to put myself in that position. And that's one of the reasons why when I tell the masculine men that come to the show, and I tell all the men that come to the show, that you need to reposition yourself and reconsider what is in your best interest going into the engagement with the other person. If you're not seeing what you're looking for going into this engagement, you are not here for the sex. You are here for a long-term cooperative partner. The sex is going to be there regardless. So since the sex is not contingent to successful relationship, it is going to be in there regardless. You need to focus on the successful relationship because a toxic relationship has just as much sex in it as a healthy one. The only difference is you'll be dealing with chaos. So I'm not sitting over here contending my hookup to whether or not, you know what I mean? My ability to match with this person is going to be based on her capability to cooperate with my agenda. And the first time it don't look like she's going to cooperate with my agenda, I ain't got no time for it. And that's like those guys with those bait cars. They out there riding around in Lambos and G5s and all this other shit, baiting these girls in. The girls are going to come talk to you because you're driving an expensive car. More often than not, I'm not going to be driving an expensive car. Why? Because I don't want a female that is only going to talk to me because of the car I drive. I want a female that's going to talk to me because of what I do and how I do what I do. So if she's not willing to talk to me when I got a busted car, then she's not willing to ride with me when I got a nice one. Is she not willing to talk to me when I'm walking? She not willing to ride with me when I'm in the limo. If she's not willing to chill with me in the hood, then she is not willing to travel the world with me. You don't know what you're getting into when you meet the man for the first time. And since these women are so busy judging a book by its cover without flipping to the second page, I am not going to waste my time getting past the summary on the back of the book. I could read the summary on the back of the book as the book walk away and just leave it alone. There's no reason for me to waste my time with that. Because again, like I said before, this podcast is supposed to at least go to quite a few countries around the world soon enough. And any person that's coming with me, I'm going to be going live in different places. Do I want to link with a person right now that is only willing to waste my money and prevent me from fulfilling that expectation for myself? Or do I want to link with a person that is going to be capable of making this more successful? My end goal has to still be achieved by my encounter. So, like Steven, you asked me, what are ways that you can see if the woman is willing to follow instructions? Certain things, like for example, I got a dog that comes with me. Hold the dog real quick, or put the seatbelt on the dog because my dog rides the seatbelt in the back. You can pick something up, make them carry it with you. You can see that it's cold and stay still. Put the coat on her. Wear this. That's it. If she takes it off, walk away with the coat. I didn't ask you to take it off. I told you to wear the coat. It's cold outside. You know, there's certain things, like if it's about to rain and you got the umbrella with you, you pop out the umbrella, stand under this umbrella. You're not going to ask her, can I keep you dry? No, you're going to stand under this umbrella or I'm not going to stay here. You can make sure that your authority will be respected from the first contact. And if you're going to make sure that your authority is going to be respected from first contact, you will find yourself in a position only furthering your financial investments in the kind of woman that will respect that type of behavior. Any woman that disrespects that kind of behavior, it ain't worth your time. And before you spend $500 on a dinner, the first $15, $20 that you spent on a coffee at Starbucks, if she's not willing to order her food and go sit down at the table, matter of fact, y'all can go up to the thing and y'all can go up to the register. She can tell a woman what you want. You tell her what you want. Then you tell her, go over there, sit down. I'll bring it to you. And if she go sit down, you good. Now, a lot of women going to say, oh, that's disrespectful. Oh, you talking to her like an animal. No, I'm not. I'm testing to see if she's willing to follow instructions. Because if I've got to give her detailed instructions to meet me somewhere, y'all know that old saying that Big Mama and them used to say, child, I should not have to explain to you the plan in the middle of the robbery. If your ass is not in place, your ass is getting left. We are not. You need to know what need to be done beforehand. You need to know your position. You need to be ready. You understand? Beforehand. So if I give you instructions, you can ask me why later. So if the whole first encounter, I'm giving her a lot of instructions. And then after that event, she did everything I said. And then after the event, she's like, well, why were you giving me so many instructions? Because I wanted to see if you would follow them. At the end of the day, even because she asked me at the end of it all, she still did what I said without contesting any of it. She showed me that she's the kind of woman that will do what needs to be done first and then ask me about it later. Which also is more appropriate in a relationship, because if she doesn't like what he has to say about something, she's not supposed to devalue him and disagree in public. She is supposed to go ahead and let him ride that ride. And then at the end of the day, behind closed doors, hey, man, I don't like that opinion that you have. Think about it like this. Blue Bloods, they back each other's play. Even when a cop is doing something unethical or unlawful, they back each other's play. They do not present a divided front in front of civilians. They will argue with each other in the locker room. They'll argue with each other at the precinct. But while they're on the street engaging you, all of them are doing the exact same thing, which is forcing you to do something that you don't believe you should have to do. Now, in a relationship, you should have the same camaraderie. You are not to devalue your partner in front of somebody else. Your partner is not going to devalue you in front of somebody else. You don't have to agree with your partner with a lot of the things that they decide to do, but y'all talk about that in private. Y'all don't talk about that in front of other people. So if your partner is not the kind of partner that's going to follow instructions and then ask you why you gave them that instruction when y'all are in the privacy of your own individual space, if you got the kind of partner that's going to boisterously, you can't tell me what to do, you're not my daddy, you right, and you not my woman. That's why I'm leaving without you. I'm not putting up with that bullshit. And no man should. You can spend more time focusing on your values and focusing on your finances. Build yourself up. Fly to a country where the women will follow your instructions. Because the difference between the women in America and the women in the Philippines is not the body count. Because the women in the Philippines got just as many children as the women in America. I think like 40 to 60% of the women in the Philippines are single mothers by the time they're like 22. So, you know, it ain't no different as far as behavior patterns. But what we will get over in the Philippines that we won't get in America is a woman that'll cooperate. And apparently, male respect is the leading cause of men leaving women. So since women understand that, instead of trying to prove that I don't have to respect this man and still be able to keep this man, she should respect the men because she knows that one of the things that all men expect is to be respected. So why disrespect this man and see how much you can disrespect this man and get away with it while still utilizing his resources is your behavior pattern. So if I'm talking to a woman and she's not going to show me the respect that I feel like I should have, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to get to spending money on her. But let me start talking to one that's willing to help. Let me start talking to one that's willing to cooperate. Let me start talking to one that's going to boost up my situation, send me in the right direction. At the end of the day, that's the one I'm going to keep. Let me find one that's going to bring an extra one into the group. So now I got two that's willing to help me. That's the one I'm willing to keep. You just refer the second one. I keep both of them because the first one is cooperating with me and the first one referred the second one and the second one's cooperating too. I keep them both. Y'all got to understand, there's a whole difference. Did you hear about the NFL player who took his life a day ago? He was 25 years old. No, I didn't hear about that. And the reason why I didn't hear about that is because that does not impact my money. Now, some people are going to say that's heartless. It's not. Football players get between several $100,000 a year to millions and millions of dollars a year. Whatever he had going on in his life that led him to do something like that was based on his inability to get the help that he needed to recover from that situation. Sometimes people just can't survive in the best circumstances. And I'm going to call that natural selection. I don't know why he ended his life. I don't know what the details of his situation was. But what I do know is that what bothers me in life is what interferes with my ability to make, save, and invest money. And what will bother me in life is the lack of success, the lack of finance. What will bother me in life is building that success and then having it spent and taken away from me by the person that I chose to be there. Because that's the other half of my expectations here, is because I'm building that empire. I do not want for every dollar I bring in, she's spending $3. No matter how rich I get, I'll be broke with a short period of time of dating this female. But if for every dollar I spend on her, she earns me $4, that makes more sense. We will never be broke together. And that is one thing that women do not bring to the table, is financial success in a relationship. No woman brings that. She's got a job, but she takes care of herself. She doesn't take care of the relationship. She doesn't take care of her man. She's got an education, but she only focuses on her needs and her desires. She doesn't use her education to benefit her man. So since your education and your career does not benefit the relationship, what does women bring to the table besides sex, education, career, and now the cooking, the cleaning, and the doing of the laundry? When you take cooking, cleaning, and doing of the laundry out of the equation, take sex out of the equation, Take the career out of the equation, take the education out of the equation. Most women can't think of shit. You got a handful of women that say emotional stability. You got a handful of women that will provide like the helping hand, shoulder to cry on kind of thing, but they can't really think of any tasks that women bring to the table that a man benefits from. All women will lead to childbirth. That's it. If you take cooking, cleaning, and doing dishes off the table, and you take her career off the table because her career doesn't benefit the relationship, you take her education off the table because that doesn't benefit the relationship, the only thing that a woman does that benefits the relationship is building a legacy. So child rearing and then educating the child. Now, since that's all that they're capable of, but not willing to do, once we start talking about women that aren't willing to have children, they bring nothing to the table. And the problem with that is that women actually could bring financial success to the table. I've shown you guys, I rolled out the schematics that a woman could turn a $50,000 a year man into a millionaire with her $40,000 a year income if she was fiscally responsible. And if she was smart enough and she had that knowledge, she could build $1 million relationship in 10 to 20 years. She could build at least 15 years. She could have $1.5 million, probably $900 to $1 million, depending on how much money they put aside. And within 2 years, $1.5 to $2 million, they could make it. They could make it. You found the right dude at 30. By 50, y'all be millionaires. Y'all be multi-millionaires. You find a dude at 25. By 45, y'all millionaires. Y'all be multi-millionaires. By 55, y'all would definitely be multi-millionaires. By the time y'all reach that retirement age, y'all definitely have almost $10 million, $5, 10 million, $50 million if y'all doing it right. So it requires for her to use her knowledge to benefit the relationship and use her income to benefit the relationship, to say that her education and her career is valuable to the relationship. But her choice to only put up 50% of the cost at max, that doesn't make her career valuable. That just means that she wants to cohabitate. No responsibility, all authority. Because she's supplementing the expenses, she wants total control. It's not going to work for me. It's not going to work in most relationships. That's why they don't last. All right, let's move on to the next one.
When is it time be done? My husband and I are in our 40s, married 15 years, 2 kids pre-teens. Marriage has its ups and downs, like anyone's. We definitely grew apart over the years after focusing on kids, family time, work, life, etc. We both made the mistake of not focusing on each other, something I regret dearly. For content, he's not abusive, he's kind, we get along for most part, but he wants to watch TV or sleep, leaving me with everything else. He's also has mental health issues he's trying to deal with, and I get it makes him sleepy. There's nothing going on in the bedroom at all either for years. When I talk to him about things, it gets better for a while, but then back into old ways. Friends/family says keep trying, it will get better, it don't. I feel like I'm living my own life and he his. It's also hard to talk to him on a deep level as that connection is not there or he judges me. Not sure I want a divorce over this, but I can't stay like it is. Been this pattern for years. A few months ago he started therapy, but I almost feel like that's too late. When is it time be done? My husband and I are in our 40s, married 15 years, 2 kids pre-teen. Family says keep trying, it will get better, it don't. I feel like I'm living my own life and he
was
is.
the last one. Okay.
It's also hard to talk to him on a deep level as that connection is not there or he judges me.
There, but it looks like
not sure I want a divorce over this, but I can't stay like it is.
So she was the last complaint. All right, good. So touching base on that, I had covered that earlier before, but one thing I didn't say is that once you realize that you don't want to be in a relationship anymore, that's when it's time to stop. because that's the one question I didn't answer before I started going on the tangent. If he's going to therapy, he's starting to try. It's never too late unless you don't want to do it anymore. But if you are willing to give him not a second chance, because y'all failed each other, so you're not really giving him a second chance to redeem himself. You have to put in effort to rekindle the relationship, and when he starts putting in effort to rekindle the relationship, you have to continue putting in effort. If you started putting in effort, you didn't see the results, he wasn't providing the results, then he realized that the reason why he wasn't providing the results was because he had to work on some emotional issues. The marriage that you guys are in right now, for better or for worse, this is the for worse part, and you're supposed to wait that storm out. So you've got to stay with him until he fixes his emotional delays. And once he gets over his emotional delays, he'll be more emotionally available for you. And then once he's emotionally available for you, you'll start seeing the improvements in your relationship. So if you are not willing to wait for him to improve himself, you should not have married him. And then since you're already in the marriage, if you're not willing to wait for the improvement now, you should just go ahead and get the divorce. Because if you have emotionally checked out of the relationship already before he starts the therapy, and it's going to take 6 months to 18 months for him to start showing some type of difference in his behavior patterns, because first he has to get to the core of why he's behaving the way he's behaving, and then he has to start proactively putting forth the steps to make the changes in his behavior. Until he gets to the core of why he does what he does, he's not going to change. If he changes for you, he'll be changing as a performance, not as a character improvement. And you don't want that. You want a character improvement. You don't want him to put on a show for you. So since you want it to occur, a character improvement is going to be permanent change. Just like in the anime, you get the backstory of the character, then they go through this life-changing experience, and then they start behaving better going forward. They never revert back to the old them. They're always the new version of themselves. You want a character change, and the character change takes time. If you want him to put on a show, then he can clock in and pretend like he's a good dude, or he can actually change and be the good dude that you want him to be. So anything worth having is worth fighting for, and a lot of times waiting it out is part of the fight, because you're fighting yourself from giving up. You are fighting yourself from the negative psychological support from your female friends that are going to discourage you from having a man in your life. And that's one of the things I tell women all the time. Don't listen to your female friends, because they're going to force you into a lifetime of singlehood. You could be in a good situation where all you had to do was communicate, and you would not have the chaos that you're having. But because your girlfriends are telling you to get rid of the dude and go back to being single, they're single, you're not. You don't want to end up like them. You don't want to be 50 and single, can't find a man. You want to stay in the relationship that you're already in. You want to be like Sherry, 30 years marriage with the capabilities of making the marriage better. You don't want to be one of those people that are in and out of relationships every 6 months with a new person, every year with a new person. You can't really call them boyfriends anymore, because you know they're not going to be here by next season. You don't want that kind of lifestyle. You don't want that kind of lifestyle in your 50s and 60s. You want a person that sticks around long enough to become your emergency contact. And as a result, you have to change the way you behave. But when you change the way you behave, if you're changing the way you behave to improve yourself for yourself, that change is permanent, which means that if your man didn't change at first, it don't matter. Eventually he gonna change, because eventually he gonna realize that this new her is permanent, and that new her is the new her that I want to stay with. So that's gonna be the new her that I'm gonna put effort into. I'm gonna make the necessary changes I need to be better perceived by her, so that she can feel validated by the new changes that she's given me. But again, men are inconsiderate and women are selfish. So when a man doesn't pay attention, no matter how long you've been performing it, once he pays attention to it, you got to give him the time to make the changes. The performance that you gave before he noticed the performance is relevant, but the time it took for him to see it can't be counted against him. The time it takes for him to make the change after he saw it, that is what he's held by. So if you just started seeing changes in him now, you got to give it time. So when do you leave? When you're tired of waiting. Does it matter how much progress he made? No. Is that a contradiction? Yes. But you married him for every reason, better and worse. Worse is that he's a vegetable and you have to wipe his butt every day. Worse is that he has no legs and you have to carry him around on your back like a backpack. The only thing that doesn't include worse is abuse and neglect. So if you realize that y'all both deprived each other for the 15 years of your child upbringing, y'all have to break that habit, and a 15-year habit is hard to break. It takes a lot of time. So if y'all can start communicating with each other, it takes 66 days to formulate a habit, and it usually takes 2 times more time to break the habit than what it does to formulate the habit. So if you've been doing it for 15 years, it'll take you 30 years to break it. But if you start practicing behaving differently for the first 3 months and you stay consistent, you will find yourself after the first 3 months repetitively doing that behavior, regardless of what the past was like. And by that becoming your new behavior, you will quickly change into a different outcome because you're not holding your partner in the present to their behavior in the past. You are only holding your partner in the present to their efforts in the present. You can't treat these children, you can't treat your parents and your husbands and everything like Solomon, where he made a mistake, he had to repent for it, and you're going to condemn him from what he did in the past. You're not going to see improvement if you're condemning your man for what he did in the past. You have to treat him today by what he's doing today. And that actually goes for all the other people who were commenting about, oh, I secretly got this information about my partner, but my partner's not acting on that information. Watch them. That's it. Don't stalk them. Don't GPS location a situation. Watch what they do. If like that one man, she blocked him. She ain't even trying to have no further communication with him. You're good. You know, if you're like the other 2 women where he ain't doing nothing, he ain't hooking up with him, there's no dialogue between them, you're good. When they start misbehaving and you can see that pattern of behavior of misbehaving, you don't have to break up with them for a reason to be like, oh, let me prove to you why I should break up with you. No. If you're getting photos from what they're doing on their phone, if you're getting communication logs from what they're doing on their phone, and that's the reason why you left, you wait till they go to work, pack up all of the shit that matters to you, and you leave the house. Block their number. Don't talk to them no more. Only take what you're supposed to take and block their number. Don't talk to them no more. You don't have to give them closure and tell them why you're breaking up with them. You're breaking up with them because you're sick of this shit. That's it. So you shouldn't be like that second woman that left the dog out on purpose and get into a fight with her boyfriend and they throwing stuff and yelling at one another and she jump in the car and run over to her friend's house and play the victim. You shouldn't have to do that. You thinking for 6 months to a year that I maybe should get out of this relationship. You should just take your shit and go to your friend's house on that note. It should not require chaos in the household in order for you to leave. But a lot of people want to leave with the victim card and maintain their own individual integrity by making it seem like it's the other person's fault. You didn't want the relationship. That's why you're leaving. So on that mentality, just leave and wear that badge with pride. I didn't want this. That's why I'm going. Because when a man leave your ass, that's exactly what he gonna leave you for. This every man that walk away from you gonna walk away from you for the same reason, because he didn't like the way he was being treated. You're not gonna have men sometimes. Oh, she ain't make my sandwich. She ain't make the bed. No, you disrespected me, and I'm sick of this shit, so I left. That's what men are gonna leave for, right? But men put themselves in this position where they're not demanding that respect at the beginning of the relationship because they're so full in love, they nose wide open, they're not respecting themselves. Then throughout the relationship, once they get comfortable, then they want to start trying to put their foot down and exert masculinity. Once you surrender the throne, bro, there's no taking it back. So you're not going to be in a position where you put her up on a pedestal as the queen of the kingdom and you're the lowly peasant. And after months of behaving like that, now you want to take your position next to her as the king. No, sir. You gave up being the king when you started groveling at her feet. So Maintain your position as a peasant. But if you're going to get into this relationship as the king of your kingdom, and you are looking to find the proper queen for your kingdom, you will communicate to her as if she has not yet earned the right to be your queen until she has earned the right to be your queen. And as the queen, the king does not worship the ground that the queen walks on. The king respects the queen the way the queen respects the king. And the children of the kingdom respect the king and queen. They will not defy the king and queen, or they will be exiled from the kingdom. The chain of command is always father, mother, and then the children. The chain of command is, if you don't do what your mama say, I'm gonna bust your ass. So mama wanted you to go stand in the corner, so you're gonna go stand in the corner the way your mama told you to stand in the corner, or I'm gonna take one of these belts off the wall and I'm gonna whoop your ass. You choose. You're not gonna come to me and say, Daddy, mommy said. Well, if mama said it and you ain't doing it, let me go get my belt. What you coming to me for? If she said no, it's no. But likewise, though, we had that same family upbringing. Likewise, though, mama used to say, all right, I'm not going to tell you nothing. I'm going to tell your daddy. And when he come home, he going to whoop your ass. Now, when I come through the door, I'm all tired, double shift, don't know what the hell going on. But she said, whoop your ass. I'm going to whoop your ass. I'm not going to ask no questions. Now, the issue is that, you know, the support that a man gives to a woman is that when she's in charge while he's away, her authority is being respected, because when he comes back, he's not going to undermine her authority. She said no when I wasn't here. No is no. If I don't agree with her, I'm not going to undermine her in front of the kids and say, oh no, you can do that. She said no. But while y'all out there doing that, me and mom going to talk about this. Look, next time I don't want them to do this. You know, you told them yes, so they're doing it now, but next time I don't want them to do this. And the next time you're not going to be, oh, well, your daddy don't want you to do it, trying to make it say, oh, I would have let you do it, but your daddy said no kind of situation. You're not going to paint me to be the bad guy. I told you I don't want him to do it the next time. So they're doing it this time because you say yes. The next time, when they ask you, you say no because I said no. And that's going to be the end of it. Co-parenting requires a unified front in front of the kids, which means that behind the scenes, while the kids ain't here, we're going to discuss this. We're not going to argue. We're not going to yell at one another. We're going to discuss this. But in order for us to co-parent together, we got to be in the kind of relationship where we can agree on things. There's going to be situations where I'm going to give instructions, and there's going to be situations where I'm going to do what I'm told to, because there's a lot of times that she doesn't have enough time to ask me for permission for some shit. She might have to be like, hey, we need to go get X, Y, and Z, and I'll just go get it. That's the other half of the table that women don't understand, because women believe that men want to boss women around. No. We give instructions because directions are given and actions need to be reacted to instantaneously so that the results are acquired before it's too late. Then we can discuss this later. We use a football metaphor. You got the playbook. If you know the playbook, I call the play. Hike the ball, we perform the play. After the play is over, we do the post-play review. Well, that didn't go the way we was expecting. Maybe we should change this up. This, that, and third. But on the field, we are one team. As the quarterback, when I say hike, we hike the ball. You don't argue with me. Nah, let's wait a couple more seconds. No. The captain of the team coaches the team. The captain of the team calls the hike happens. And everybody that's on the team follows the team captain. So there's no reason why we're in a situation where you got more than one captain on the same side of the field calling plays. The team is not going to form well. Even with Drew Brees had 3 quarterbacks calling that screenplay. He had 3 quarterbacks on the field, and the primary quarterback, which was him, still threw the ball downfield. He's the one that said, hike, at the end of the day. So you've got to think about the fact that you have to know your role, because the best women in the best relationships are the ones that lead from the rear. And women got to remember that. Men are not taking your authority away from you. Women have to lead from the rear. You can see more bullshit going on when you standing back watching. You can hear more shit going down when you shut the fuck up and listen to your environment. You cannot talk and listen at the same time. But you can hear what everybody else is saying if you're the only one not talking. You can hear the setup. You can see the surprise attack if you are paying attention. If you are his eyes and ears while he is focusing on the threat, you can tell him where the ambush is coming from. And then you are the one that is able to provide that support. You see what he's doing is not achieving the goals that y'all are looking for. You were able to provide him with the counsel of how to do it a little bit more efficiently to achieve that goal more effectively. If he's about to invest in something that might crash, you have a counter investment that will cover the spread. You are preventing the total loss. But if you're just going to tell him don't do it because you said so, you are not providing the support that he needs. You are supposed to back him up to prevent him from failing, but he is supposed to be there to protect you from danger. So he got to get hurt for you. Okay? And you got to take them licks for him. But you taking them licks for him is when he spent the money in the wrong spot, y'all both broke together. But when you crash the car, he's fixing that bitch for you. But if he tell you don't leave with the car, it's a holiday weekend, everybody out there drinking. You know, you want to be out there with everybody drinking. Don't leave with the car today. You can get drunk with your friends the weekend after the holiday. Less people out there. He's protecting you. It's the holiday. I want to do it this week. Why? It's more expensive this week. Do it next week. Yeah, I'm not stopping you from doing it. I'm just telling you a better way to get it done. If women think about this, it's like, well, shit, what he's saying is making sense. Why are we turning up on Saturday night when ladies drink free on Wednesday? And then ladies drink free on Wednesday. 90% of the club is females. Saturday night, 90% of the club is dudes. Like, you know, you gotta think. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wrap it up with this. I'm gonna tell y'all, look, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, we're gonna keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And y'all have to put it in your mind when y'all talking to these fellas going forward. Y'all need to find out what his character is like, what his personality is like, what his decision-making skills is like. Not about how much money he got in his bank account, not about how much money he spent, not about how much assets and resources that he has. You need to find out what he is capable of and where you fit in that capability. Because his 20-year plan has got to mesh with your 20-year plan, even if it's not the same. If he got to deviate from his plan to support your plan, that's not going to work for you. Because that'll put you in a position to choose. Surrender my plan to follow him or force him to surrender his plan to follow me. Y'all notice every quest movie, the primary character is on a quest and everybody else that's on their own side quest drop their quest to follow the primary quester. The leader of the pack dictates which direction that we go. If we're going to get on your side quest, I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing today and I'm going to get on your side quest, but then we're going to get back on my main mission. But everybody follows the leader, the main leader. Ladies, y'all going to be finding a man instead of finding a man and spending the most money on the first date. Y'all need to find a man that's going to make the type of decisions that y'all need. Sound like a Gladys Knight song. You're right. You're right. But look at I was just listening to my dad was going through some of the old school love songs earlier today, and I was listening to some of them in the background. I'm like, damn, you know that 90% of the love songs that men made was either why don't you love me as much as I love you, or I'm sorry for fucking up in the relationship, take me back. Some of the best songs that we would jam to. Not one of them songs was ever put out by a female that said, you know what, I'm sorry for fucking up, take me back. Not one of them songs was, you know, why don't you love me as much as I love you? It was never that way. Not from the female side. The female singers was never singing that. The female songs was never. The female songs was, I got a man, but I'll cheat on him with you. You know what I mean? So, you know, the logic that I'm giving y'all, Nicole, the logic that I'm giving y'all tonight, is not a lot of women agree with it, and I understand that. But my logic comes from a perspective, a concept that if you paying attention to what benefits you in a situation, you have no problem with benefiting the other person. Because in the relationship, the two people is the man and woman that come together that make the child. The child benefits from the cohesive front of the mom and the dad. If we working together, it's easier for us to provide for this child. If we fight one another, it's hard for us to provide for this child. And then if we fight each other, the child gets to choose sides. Not because we force a child to choose sides, because the child knows I can get what I want from one of them because they don't agree. If we always agree in front of the child, even if we disagree, if we always agree in front of the child, no is no, don't matter who say no. Yes is yes, no matter who say yes. So we should never be in a situation where we disagree in front of the child. We talk about it later. And in a relationship, in order for us to get to the child, we must be able to work together. We don't have to agree. We just have to work together. So one of us should be able to lead. And that's one of the main things that not a lot of people are paying attention to. If the females was able to recognize this, they would be able to find the right kind of men for them. Because instead of watching this dude throw money in the air in the club, ooh, he threw $10,000 in the. What kind of financial irresponsibility is that shit? I don't care if you was in a strip club, in a mall. I don't give a damn where the fuck you was. You threw $10,000 in the air in one night. That's $120,000 a year if you do that every night. I could have took that kind of money and put it somewhere and had reoccurring $10,000 coming to it. Because didn't I tell you about the brokerage account is giving 18% off of $100,000? That would have been $18,000 that could have been coming back. You would have been able to waste that and still keep the principal. What is we doing? You know, y'all need to be able to find a man that's financially responsible. So instead of looking at that dude with the expensive car, ooh, I like his car, I want to ride with him. You need to be looking for that dude that got that 1998 Honda Civic that still run, girl. 2 different color doors. Y'all need to find that dude with a Toyota that still run from 1985. You need to find somebody with a 2006, 2007 that still run. Paid off. Don't matter if they rent an apartment, own a condo, buying a house. Y'all need to be finding the dude that's showing stability, because you got to ask yourself this. If he willing to throw thousands of dollars on his Lambo today as a rental, he willing to throw you around as a rental. But if he willing to keep this car for 25 years, he willing to keep me for 25 years. Y'all know what kind of man he is based on how he treat the women in his life. So if he taking care of his mama, that means he gonna take care of your ass. If he looking out for his sister, that means he gonna look out for your ass. You don't find the right people. She said, and that he has all of his teeth. Okay, well, that depends on how old he is, though. Because if he's 25, 30, 40 years old, you might want to hope that he got all of his teeth. But if he got dentures because his teeth got knocked out in a boxing match, at the end of the day, if he's wearing all of his teeth, because when you say he got to have all of his teeth, a lot of men would like for women to have their original hair, but we never find a woman with her original hair. As much as women swear to God that they don't mind being natural, 300 days out of the year, women are not natural. And a lot of times, because women are not natural, the 65 days out of the year that she's not natural, her hair all over her head. That's why they wear the bonnet, so that nobody can see their hair. Men do not reject women that don't have long hair, but they don't reject women that have nappy hair neither. But the women are so pressed on having the long straight hair, the braids, the cornrows, all this other stuff, the hair going down their back, all up in their butt crack when they sit down and go take a poop, the hair is in the toilet. They put all of this effort into stuff that don't matter, but something that a man can't change, like his teeth not being in his mouth, is something that a woman will say that's a no-go. But if you take your wig off and we thought you was long hair like Pocahontas and you come to be bald like Eve, that's a whole different emotional change that a man has to adapt to. So he fell for the woman with the long hair And now that he's looking at that same woman with no hair, she looked weird. Because I've already got it's the same thing like a man with facial hair. A man that always has facial hair, never shaved ever. The one time he shaved his face, he looked weird because you're not used to seeing him like that. Women don't understand that. You want a man to fall in love with you for your natural you first. So rock your natural you first. You want to throw fake hair on? That's fine. Throw fake hair on like 2 weeks out of every 3 months. Or if you're going to wear the hair for 6 weeks, that's fine. Wear your hair for 6 weeks. And then for 12 weeks, don't wear that shit. Walk around natural for a while. See how much money you save, but see how many more men talk to you when you're rocking your natural look. At the end of the day, the stipulations that women have for men are things that men can't change. His height, how many teeth is in his mouth, how many eyes is in his head, how many fingers he got on his hands. This is the stuff women make unconditional conditions that are uncorrectable. It's almost like if I don't qualify, I'll never qualify. But with a woman, it's like, bro, your natural look, which can be changed into, your natural height, which is going to be changed into, either gain weight or lose weight, which is modifiable. But most women don't even work on their mental health. All the money y'all be spending on y'all Brazilian weave and y'all therapist is not the one braiding your hair down. That's why most of the women on the show tonight that was commenting with the audio file was talking about how they have emotional insecurity. Because a large majority of individuals that need mental health treatment are not getting mental health treatment. Their insecurity from past traumas is negatively impacting their current relationship, and that's the reason why their current relationship is about to fail. Because she got trauma that she ain't working on because she a bad girl in the club dropping it like it's hot, coyote ugly. Hair did, nails did, everything did, new tattoo, all this other stuff. But while mental health is important, she's not focusing on her mental health. While mental health is important, most women do not make sure that their man's mental health is stable. And I'm not talking about before the relationship. I'm talking about during a relationship. Because getting on a man's goddamn nerves and preventing him from putting a boot in your ass is going to drive him up the wall. And driving him up the wall is going to prevent his mental stability. Angering a man on purpose just to see how he reacts when he's mad is negatively compromising his mental state. Rejecting his intimacy just because you're mad at him, that negatively impacts his mental state. Devaluing him. I don't need you. I can do this all by myself. That negatively impacts a man's mental state. You ain't shit. That negatively impacts a man's mental state. You little punk bitch, your mama, blah, 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 blah. That negatively impacts a man's mental state. Women don't think about that, but they want a man to be mentally stable. Well, how are you going to find a mentally stable man when women do not value men? Most men, you don't even know their name, will die for you on a street corner because you're a woman. But most men, you won't even say thank you for being here in case I needed your help. Most women won't buy a man a cup of coffee just because he's in the vicinity. But if that restaurant was about to get robbed, he would get got by the attacker to protect you, and you don't even know who he is. But let him open the door for you. He's misogynistic because he's looking at your butt as you walk by. Women want men to have better mental health. Women have to create better mental health in men by treating men better. If you're not interested in a man, instead of humiliating him in public, thank him for his offer. Politely reject his offer. You don't have to lie to him, I got a man. You don't got to lie to him, I'm gay. You can tell him the truth. While I appreciate your advance, I'm not interested. Thank you for the compliment, but I'm not interested. I don't care what kind of car you drive. I'm still not interested. I really appreciate the compliments, but I'm not interested. Thank you very much. If they buy you a drink and you reject them, you don't send the drink back. That's a public humiliation. Buy them a drink and compliment. They bought you a drink. Thank you for the drink. Here's one for you. You know what I mean? If a man puts you on his tab, he's buying you all these drinks or ordering all these drinks on your behalf, y'all get somewhat through the conversation and you're not interested in him, pay the fucking tab. Pay the tab. You sat there with him. You're not interested with him. You would have paid for that yourself because you were sitting over there drinking it. Pay the tab. However many drinks you had, you know they $5 a bottle for the beers that you was drinking. You drank 5 of them. Put $30 on the table for the bartender. Let them put that towards his tab. He don't have to want it. If he don't want it to go towards a tab, that's your tip. But I'm gonna put $30 down to cover the drinks I just drank. I'm not interested. Show the men respect. Then you will have men with better mental health. Because every woman that's mad at the man that they got today talking about past trauma from another woman, what is the problem there? The women. His last girlfriend, his sister, his mama, his grandmama, the women are traumatizing the men, and now the traumatized men, the women are not interested in. So what you have is a field that is being destroyed. The crop is being destroyed. And then you're looking at that field and you're disappointed at the crop. Stop destroying the crop. Stop destroying the crop. That's one of the main reasons why instead of me sitting on this podcast all day long telling men that women ain't shit, I'm telling men how to become better men so that the men can be better men for better women. And because you popped up onto a podcast that's talking to men about how to be better men, now you can find out what better men look for in a better woman. If you're not that woman, you can start becoming that woman, because the more better men that pop up after this podcast is going to be the better men that has more requirements for you as a woman. Because the man that ain't shit ain't got no requirements. You just got to show up. But the man that has improved himself to become a higher value man for your expectations got stipulations you got to meet. Now, you want a higher quality man, you want a better value man, you got to put extra effort into that man. You don't want a man of value? You can talk to a man of no value like shit. You can talk down to a man of no value. But a man that you value, and you should only be going after men that you value, that man you must respect. So as it pertains to their mental state, you're supposed to protect that. You're not supposed to destroy that. So women that are arguing and fussing and cussing at men and yelling and talking to that man and poking him in the back of the head and chasing him all over the house and throwing shit at him and hitting him in the back of the head, all of that trauma you put into that man, now the man is afraid to talk to you. That fear came from your psychological and emotional abuse. Now that man ain't want to talk to you no more. Now he done clammed up. Self-preservation. I'm not going to leave this woman because I love this woman. I'm not going to leave this woman because I've invested so much into this relationship and I don't want to lose my stuff in this woman. So now I'm going to do nothing, because it's safer for me to do nothing than it is for me to do something. Walking on eggshells, emotionally damaged in this long-standing relationship where his only goal is to keep her happy. I don't care if I'm not happy. I love her so much. As long as she's happy, I will be miserable with her. Luther Vandross, I will be miserable with her as long as she's happy and with me. Why? Why do I have to have bad times with you instead of good times with someone else? Why can't I have good times with you so I don't have to be with someone else? Some of the best love songs in the world is a man always talking about how he is willing to be miserable to stay with the woman that she wants. But not one love song that had happened in the past is a woman talking about how she is willing to do whatever it takes to keep her man happy. And that's a societal flaw. If women think about this and realize it's not just the man's fault, it's the woman's fault too. It's not just the woman's fault, it's the man's fault too. But ladies, y'all got to realize that if y'all want better quality, y'all got to make it now. Y'all 40, 50 years old, start teaching these girls in their 20s and 30s how to behave. The shit that you used to do back in the day that ain't good, you need to tell these girls now. Y'all need to cut that shit out. If nothing else, I don't want you to end up like me. I went down that road and it ain't good. I don't want you to go down that road neither. A drug addict can tell a person that ain't started doing drugs why it's not a good idea to be on drugs. A broke person can tell a person that ain't started fucking up their life why it's not a good idea to waste money. An unemployed person can tell a person starting their first job what not to do to lose their job. A 40-year-old single woman can tell a young girl what not to do so that they don't stay single till they 40. So instead of promoting each other, Bad Girls Club, Get 'em Girl, bad bitches. Yeah, fuck that nigga. We don't need him. Instead of doing all that, y'all should be able to come out the woodwork and say, nah, girl, you need to fix that. Go talk to him. Apologize. Make him his favorite meal. Go apologize to his mama and them. Do something to fix that, because that man got a job. That man working hard. That man paying for everything that he don't got to pay for. Keep him. There ain't that many of them out there that's willing to put up with your shit. Keep him. Because you're going to come to an age where they ain't going to look at you no more. See what I'm saying? For men, you can tell the young boys, stop, wait, they'll come to you. But for the women, if you wait, they will stop coming to you. They won't look at you. So as women, I'm not going to tell y'all rush into the first relationship that you find. You want to curate your interactions with one another. You want to maintain platonic engagements with these dudes, because at the end of the day, the more dudes you sleep with, the lower value you got. So instead of sleeping with every dude that you get involved with, you want to bring back that mentality. No sex until marriage. Maintain your value. No sex until marriage. This is coming from a man. No sex until marriage. Why? Because if the relationship don't work out before we get married, at least I ain't got no bodies. If I start smashing you and we never make it to the marriage, I'm in a new relationship every 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days. From 15 to 30, I done had 15, 20 relationships at least. And then if I decide to go on a whole stroll while I'm in college and I'm out there dropping it like it's hot and throwing it up in the air, then now I got a body count of 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200,000. Shouldn't do that. 3 baby daddies, all this other stuff. Shouldn't do that. Since your value is sex, you should put that on pause until you find a man that you're willing to spend the rest of your life with. Now, women are going to say, well, if that's the case, who the men going to be fucking with? The dudes is fucking all the women. Not wife material. Not wife material. You're wife material. You should not be in sexual relationships with men that you're not married to. Maintain your value. You know what I mean? You maintain the value of your car by keeping it painted, keeping it washed, keeping it maintained. You maintain the value of your house by keeping it repaired, keeping it painted, keeping it updated, redoing the roof. You maintain the value of your dog by keeping it groomed, keep it with a bath, keep his teeth brushed. Y'all got life insurance and health insurance on your pets now to maintain the value of your animals. You maintain the value of your clothes by following the washing instructions and dry clean only and all of this. Why don't you maintain your relationship? Why don't you maintain your body count? Why don't you maintain yourself? Maintain your own mental state so that you're not insecure in a relationship with this other dude. If you think, oh, none of the dudes are staying with me because I don't want to sleep with them, that's because they ain't shit. Stop attracting ain't shit dudes. Then you don't got to spread your legs for each one of them. Because a man that values you for what you bring to the table is not looking for the sex. The sex is guaranteed. If I meet you and you 22, I got to you 40 to have 3 kids out of you if I'm going to stop my number at 3. If I meet you at 22 and I'm trying to sleep with you at 22, then I'm not trying to have a long-standing relationship with you. I'm trying to sleep with you. So if you know what my goal is, I'm not showing you a long-term goal. I'm showing you a short-term objective. Then this man doesn't have the ambition that I want. If all he wants is to sleep with me, then I don't want to talk to him. That's what y'all need to be having. Nah, fuck that. He just spent $500 just to get into my pants. So what he's saying is that I'm only worth $500, not 50 years. If he's going to spend $1,000 on one night with me, what he's saying is that I'm only worth $1,000, not 50 years. Now ask yourself this, ladies, for each time that you slept with a man on the 5th date, on the 10th date, ask yourself this. How much money he spent? Less than $5,000 in most cases. Now think about this. If from the day you married him until the day he died, he paid for your lifestyle, he would have been putting $50,000, $100,000 a year for 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. You start multiplying 50,000 by tens. Now you're worth $1 million. Now you're worth $5 million. So here's a question for you ladies before we run out the show tonight. Would it make most sense for you to show how much you're worth and only provide yourself to a man that's willing to keep you for the rest of his life? Or is it better for you to show your worth by sleeping with him on a 5th date? Because if sleeping with you come at a cost, is it better for him to get it in the beginning, or is it better for him to get it after the marriage? Because that is the biggest difference. People don't think about that. People don't think about that. Because to me, my observation is that same woman, if $1,000 worth of dates, whether it's $100 a date for 10 dates or 5 dates for $250, whatever, can get in them pants, her value is $1,000. If I can keep this woman for the rest of my life at whatever my standard of living is, that standard of living, if my standard of living is $50,000 a year and I'm going to give her 20 years, 50,000 times 10 is 500,000. That's $1 million to get that woman. 40 years, that's $2 million to get that woman. Wouldn't she be more valuable if I can only get her, if I'm guaranteeing her 20 years of my life or 40 years of my life? Wouldn't that make her more valuable than what she would be if I can guarantee her a yacht trip, a one-night white party at the whatever on the marina? Wouldn't she be more valuable? Even the girls that, oh, he gave me 10 stacks to fly me across the country so that he could smash on the first night, that means she was worth 10,000. Well, wouldn't she be more valuable if I got to dedicate 30 years of my life to her at my current salary? Even if I'm a $50,000 a year man, wouldn't she be more valuable to me if I'm willing to spend the next 30 years of my life with her to get that? Instead of it being contractual transaction where I am leasing it, I can smash every month as long as I pay the monthly cost for the hair, nails, and everything, $1,000 a month, which means that at this point she's only worth like $12,000 a year, versus again the whole standard of living. Nicole said that's a question I never came across. 5 questions influencers refuse to answer. That was the title of today's show. I hit y'all with a couple of them, but this is the one that make everybody got to stop and think. Wouldn't your value be higher? So instead of, oh, he ain't gonna pay my bills, I'm gonna keep my legs closed. You should have kept your legs closed from the beginning, sweetheart, because if your value is sex, your value is reproduction, your value should be to the highest bidder. And the highest bidder is the person that's willing to contract to you for the longest period of time. And the longest period of time is marriage. So if he contracting you for the longest period of time, you only willing to spread your legs for the man that's willing to guarantee you the rest of his life. And no man that is not willing to guarantee you the rest of his life should be spreading them legs. Which also means, in the confidence of a man, is that he should not have to worry about his woman smashing nobody else because she guaranteed him, her, as long as he continues to care for her for the rest of his life. That means she ain't going nowhere. So she could be talking to dudes all the damn time. They're not hitting that because they're not contributing to the rest of her life. And a one-night stand, most of us will say, I'm not going to help you steal from the company one time for a good tip just so that I can lose my job thereafter. Those same women will hold that mentality to say that I'm not going to entertain you for one night so that you can sleep with me to ruin my marriage for the rest of my life. If you hold your value, your true value, you'll find that we would have less hoes. We would have less Netflix and chill. We'll have less boba and back shots. It'll be all about finding the one with the right sense, finding the one with the right values, finding the ones with the right qualities that I can mesh with, build with, grow with, because this is the best part about it. Because notice I done told y'all, a 20-year plan, if y'all doing it right, y'all can go from being 2 people making less than $50,000 a year to being $1.5 million or more in 20 years. You find a man that's willing to dedicate 20 years of his life to you, and he's got a good financial plan, and you've got a good financial plan, and y'all can bring that financial plan together and make yourselves multimillionaires. Not only are you worth more than $2 million over the course of a 20-year marriage, you're worth the estate that you built, which now is well over $2 million estate in 20 years that is generating over $180,000 a year, where when you first met this man, you was making $45,000 a year. Now you're living off of an estate that's paying you $180,000 a year, and all you had to do was keep your legs closed until he married you. Now my question is, why the fuck do women not behave this way? This is the way women behave in 1940. This is the way women behaved before they was burning bras in the street. Why do women not behave this way? Because the potential of a man is the ability to build wealth, not spend it. So if women aren't paying attention to the man's ability to build wealth, then that's the reason why after 10, 20 years of being in a marriage, was she broke, he broke, he got to pay her alimony. Wouldn't be no damn alimony if you was in a trust that was paying you residuals. It wouldn't be no damn alimony. It's like whatever's coming from you in the trust, you get. If you in a trust getting 25% of the trust, reinvesting the other half back into the principal, you getting 25% of the trust out of $180,000. Half of $180,000 is 90. Half of that is 45. That's your standard of living right now. So you still get a free ride, $45,000 a year coming out of a trust that you helped him build for 20 years. You can divorce him and live the way you was living before you got with him with no job. There's still no excuse. The greed and the lust, which are two of the deadly sins that everybody pays attention to, but nobody changes from, is the reason why the dating game is so destroyed. So with that being said, ladies, we got to change our mentality. But on my way out the door, fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men. You guys have to figure out for yourselves the things that are inside of your control that you don't like, that need to change. And then put forth the effort to make those changes. As you make those changes, you'll see a better way of life, and then you can navigate around the things that you cannot control. Well, ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, ladies, you too can make yourselves higher value women. All you have to do is prioritize your 20-year plan, finding out what you need to get to your end goal. And then you can proactively put forth the time and effort into achieving that goal, and keep your eyes and ears open, because as you have the potential suitors approach you, you can evaluate their personality and their characteristics and their drive and their motivation to see if they mesh well with your end goal. And if they mesh well with your end goal, then you can partner with them and you can reach your goals so much faster. Because when two people aim for the same goal, they're going to liably hit it faster than if one person grind on it by themselves. It's not about you specifically becoming a dependent to a man. It's about you specifically finding a man that will cooperate with your objective so that you can celebrate your life with the person that helped you achieve that goal. And that works the same way with men, finding the right woman that they can celebrate life with the woman that helped them achieve the life that they're living. It's not about YOLO, you only live once. It's not about get it while you can. It's not about all of that. I'm a bad bitch, I'm gonna do whatever I want, alpha boss lady, all that other bullshit. What it's about is, when you are 75, 80 years old and you too old to wipe your own ass, who gonna be there? My mama used to tell me when I was young, be careful how you treat people, because you never know who's gonna be there to bring you your last glass of water. And 9 times out of 10, the person that bring you the last glass of water is the one that you treated the worst. Y'all know that old saying, oh, you don't know what you got until it's gone, and you never pay attention to the well runs dry and all this other stuff. But you don't know that the one person that is going to still be there with you on your last day, fluffing your pillow and bringing you to your last drink of water, is 9 times out of 10 your ex-wife or your ex-husband. The last person that you treated like shit is usually the one on your deathbed with you on your last breath, the one you didn't want. So instead, you got to behave better, you got to treat them better, and you got to look for the one that you value. Don't just look for the one that's convenient. Look for the one that you value. And that's going to be the one that should be there for you on your last days. Now, with that being said, I want to thank y'all for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.
Thank you.